always going up. You can't take from us. We ain't slowing up. Look what life gave us. Always going up. You can't take from us. We ain't slowing up. Look what life gave us.
Yo, what's good? Okay, there you go. I'm over here trying to get shit situated and shit.
Right. I just realized the title. You still wasn't able to do that, huh?
I put part 2. That's what that is.
Okay. I see. All right.
Yeah, no, we lit. But welcome to another episode of the Free Your Mind podcast, where you come to free your mind and help others free theirs. I'm your co-host, and I go by the name of Woon, and I'm all about balance like the sun and the moon. What's poppin'?
Yes, sir. I go by the name of Selfmade. You gotta tap in with self to know thyself always. As the other co-host. But yeah, just a heads up for everybody that's watching. I just got off work. I'm back on the plantation. I'm back on the boat, slaving for massa. But I just got off the plantation, so I'm gonna be like in and out for a second, and then you know what I mean. But I'm gonna be listening though.
Oh yeah, it's always a good. Hey, and you want to know what? When I behind the scenes, I was practicing your intro and shit because I was still like just in case you don't move up.
Right. I heard the song go off. I'm like, hold on, I'll jump in here for the intro.
Definitely. I appreciate that. You're looking out, especially because you know how that shit go with the work thing. You hop from one interview to the next,
right.
and you try to have that little in between break and shit. Like,
just jumped out the shower, ain't ate nothing yet. But nah, I'm here though. I'm gonna be, chiming in and shit here and there.
Definitely. So before we get this show started, because we do got a host, Shy T. You guys probably familiar with him from the last couple shows that we did. But before we get this show started, I appreciate everybody who's been purchasing my book. I recently just turned in my manuscript for the next book, so that will be out by the end of this month. But also on a whole different type of time, I think people do not know or either forgot that I also do acting and filming and do all this other shit, right? And I re-released a video that I did a few years back, or I released a couple, and people is fucking with him and shit, like, you know what I mean? So I was like, damn, was I that good? Like, people still fucking with him, like, you know what I mean? So for the new people who are following me on Facebook or YouTube or Insta or whatever, and I'm sharing these videos, you know what I mean? This is for you, like, you know what I mean? So without further ado, I just want to give y'all one of the highest viewed videos that I put together, and it's on some comedy shit. Now, mind you guys, I'm gonna give you guys just this real quick. I did this without a script, right? So I just had, the person who I was filming with, and then her son. I he was a cameraman, so but I guess he used to take photography in school, so I had him do the camera work. Everything is good. Just told everybody what to do, and we made magic like a motherfucker. So I'm gonna share this with you guys, and we're gonna get it lit.
Yo, so let me tell you about this one time that I had hooked up with this one little thought that I met on a Facebook group called Grown and Alone and shit, right? Yo, so let me tell you about this one time that I had hooked up with this one little thought that I met on a Facebook group called
So obviously, that shit do not want to kick in right now. So I guess we'll have to save that for a later time. But for the people who have tapped in with it, oh shit, hold up. For the people who have tapped in with it, it is pretty funny, and it's been received pretty good. Hold on one second. I don't know why my computer's bugging right now. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. 1 second. That shit. Okay. But anyway, so it's been received pretty good. And for the most part, yeah, it's just I do a lot of different things that people don't know about. And comedy is one of them. Skits is not not like stand up, but I do skits, funny skits. Sometimes they be serious, sometimes they make you think. But this one was just all out. We just acting an ass type shit. But if you follow me on Facebook, you probably already seen it. It's called a chick that I met on Facebook, but I just now recently released it under when your sneaky link ain't sneaky linking. You know what I mean? So it's lit just like that. But let's get back into the topic for today's show. We do have a guest, Shy T, in the building once again, and for the most part, he just wants to get in and come and build with us. You know what I mean? So we're always down to build, and it's always a good opportunity to have people exchange information, exchange vibrations, because that's what we need more of, just to get an understanding of each other for sure. Hey, is your mic on, Shy?
Mic check.
Oh yeah, there you go. You good?
Oh, good, man. So with that being said, man, I appreciate. I go by Shy T, man. Sawan is my Israelite name. I do follow the Hebrew Israelite faith. I don't believe in everything that all the camps believe in. I do have my own doctrine, I guess you want to say, on some of the scriptures, meaning I don't subscribe to everybody's doctrine. We all don't believe the same. Also don't have all the answers neither, but again, I do my best, man. I've been fucking with Woon for a couple years, just trying to build with these brothers. Woon is Selfmade, trying to build with these brothers to again be a betterment for the people. So I appreciate y'all having me on, boss.
Definitely. I'm gonna reiterate that we've been knowing each other for a few years. Like, you know what I mean? And the funny thing about it is, Shy, I don't think people know for one, how long we've been fucking with each other. They probably see us on Facebook like, these niggas is going back and forth, yada yada yada. It shit is it's too lit. Hold on 1 second. ZTS Media, you should do open panels. This is corny. I mean, if you want, I don't know where you at, but if you want to come join the panel, it's lit. The panel's always open. I don't know if you've been on the show before, but the panel's open. It's lit. But anyway, so Shy, so when it comes down to that, it's just like, for people to see us have a difference of opinion, they probably think that we don't get along in real life. But me and Shy been rocking for years. Like, you know what I mean? So don't ever get that twisted like me and Shy ain't homies and shit, even though we may present ourselves in a two different standpoint. You know what I mean? So with that being said, Shy does music. He's been doing music. We hooked up on some music shit, like, you know what I mean? Bossy and T, all that shit, like, you know what I mean? So we go way back.
For sure, man. Woon has always been around, man, ever since I moved to Sac. So it's all nothing but respect. We have a lot of differences, but we have a lot of similarities too. But we tend to not really talk about the similarities too much. But we do agree on a lot of stuff, and we disagree on a lot of stuff. But it's always respectable. It's always love, and it's always a build. So it's always good.
Definitely. No, I'm appreciate you. Let me drop this link. I'm gonna make sure that people got access to this link that's on here, so people can join in real quick.
He didn't already cut himself because we ain't even gave no information out yet, and he already's talking about dumb niggas. So who's the dumb nigga if you ain't even listened to anything that was said from either point and just calling niggas dumb? You know what I mean? That's something that we got to get out of. Yes. All we did was drop an introduction and introduce myself, and one of us, I'm pretty sure I'm a dumb nigga or you or something. Regardless, it's corny.
Yeah, well, the link is up right now, so I don't like the only because all that chitter chatter is cool, like, you know what I mean. It sounds good for when people are in that with them Twitter fingers, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
You're right. We just trying to build, man, and that's what brings me to my questions, man. I mean, I know most of the time you get to question me, and I have some of the answers. Some of the answers I don't have, but I never really got to see how you know what I mean, how you really got down. I never really delved into you. I was so busy defending myself that I never really opened up to try and understand. You know what I mean? What you were saying. I was always defending myself, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense, and that's a great point. And I appreciate you for even and I'm not saying changing your position, but changing your perspective or changing your stance to where it's just like, instead of being on the defensive side, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, let's play some offense. Let me see what your shit looking like. You know what I mean? 'Cause a lot of the times, we really don't get an opportunity to have that type of exchange, and it's always good for us to have that type of exchange. So for anybody who's watching and may not have and I don't want to call nobody cowards, but sometimes people don't have enough courage to come on and have these type of conversations uncut. Like, you know what I mean? Just like I said, it's cool to type shit, but when you have to have this exchange, you know what I mean, then it's different. So
Different ball game.
definitely, you may ask questions that other people may have wanted to ask all this time, but just haven't presented themselves to ask questions. You know what I mean? But
Right.
while we're here,
Exactly.
peace to Zag the Sigma. I'm looking at the ZTS media, so I'm obviously, that has to be you, and I appreciate you for coming on. And I know that you're new to the channel because I don't recognize the name, but we're pretty much open. So you know what I mean. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But I just ask you to please come on and show respect to everybody that's either in the chat or that's on the panel, and we're gonna get the same respect, and we're going to learn.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
You can hear me?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm giving you that disclaimer is because just like my partner Shai said when he was in the chat, you was like, yeah, it's something dumb, and I don't know who.
Nah, I just fucking, we niggas, man. We joke, crack jokes, man. I ain't mean no.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. When you're typing it, it can be taken any type of different way. That's why
Let's build that relationship first.
Yeah, that's why I would rather you come on, and then we know that you're joking when you say certain things. So now it's not.
Well, honestly, I didn't even expect that you was gonna even allow me on here, because I've been here before, watching in the clouds, peeping some of the conversations, and I made note that this wasn't an open panel, because I usually see you don't have the link out there. So that's why this time I came around, I was like, yo, man, you got to post a link, man. You got to make this shit a public forum so people could come in and chime in.
Definitely. And I appreciate you, because now, see, you're bringing that angle of light that we were probably slipping on. I believe from now on that you said that, every show that now we're going to start the show and we're going to drop that link into the chat. So I appreciate that, Chief.
Or what you could do is you could pin the link on the top so you don't got to keep dropping it.
Done
because
deal.
What I find is oftentimes when people come on YouTube, the format how YouTube is right now is more of an open format where people want to come in and chime in. That's how the channels grow. They want the interaction.
Definitely.
So what should we call you? ZTS
Zab.
or Zab?
Let's call me Zab. The ZTS stands for Zab Sigma. That's just
Zab
the
Sigma,
name
yeah.
of the YouTube channel, ZTS Media.
Oh, good.
I had that trademark.
Zab, can I ask you a quick question?
No doubt,
Do
man.
you,
I'm an open book.
Oh, good. Do you follow a religion? Are you free your mind? How do you perceive? Do you follow a religion, a belief?
Well, my belief structure would probably be a mixture or a combination of different religions. I incorporate Buddhism. I incorporate some Christianity. And I would say I'm a pantheist, meaning that I believe in a pantheon of gods.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna fit right in over here then.
Yeah, you're gonna fit right in over there.
Yeah, because we incorporate. We got somebody from probably everything that you just now named, so it's lit like that. And again, I appreciate you for pulling up. This particular show, you feel free to interact as well. But so we got my man Shai T that's on here. He's going to be asking some questions. but you can also feel free to ask some questions if you do have any for for what we're going to be presenting. And with that being stated, Shy T, if you're ready to rock, you can rock.
Damn, I'm still muted. For sure, I am ready to rock. He can answer some of these questions too, because again, this is just for understanding. And he kind of, again, since he fits in with more of your crowd, I understand he said he followed Buddha and Christianity. Those are religions too, but you don't follow any religions, right, Woon?
I kind of like what he said, and I'm gonna just piggyback off what he said because I like there's no separation and religion for me, right? So when dealing with this I am shit, right? And I'm gonna give you a small story so you can understand what I'm saying. So when it comes down to this I am shit, I understand Christian perspective, I understand Hebrew Israelite perspective, I understand Muslim perspective, I understand Buddhist perspective. So anytime that anybody used to ask me, the first question that I was asked when I was on this I am shit is, are you an atheist? Right? And this was from my nephew, and I was just like, am I an atheist? I'm like, nah, I'm not no, as a matter of fact, I think I first said yeah, right? And the reason being is because atheists don't really believe in the God or a devil type shit, right? But there's other things that atheists follow and believe that I'm not privy to and that I do not follow, right? So with that being stated, when I say that I am everything and nothing at the same time, that's why I got this on my necklace. It just means that I'm able to relate to a lot of different things as long as it's on a higher level frequency, right? You can keep all the personal things that goes on in between your camps, or just like you said, like you're a Hebrew Israelite, but you don't fuck with everybody's individual doctrine, right? On how they push their thing. So my thing is to say I am, just to let the people know that I am tapped in with multiple different things, and there shouldn't be one thing that I cannot relate to as far as my level of understanding on the higher level, right? Because now I'm saying that I am able to embody everything that you are, because this is a collective consciousness, right? So with that being stated, there's no places that I can't think that you can think, that I can't go that you can't go. But again, when it comes down to personal preference by way of doctrine, hey, I'm gonna let y'all have that. That's not for me. I'm gonna let y'all do y'all Dougie. But as long as I could relate to your overall message, if it's on the higher point, then it's lit. So that's what the I am is.
Okay. So do you so you understand the Buddhist God, you understand the God of the Christians, you understand the God of the Hebrews. Do you worship any of those, or you just understand where those people are coming from? How does that work?
Well, when we talk about worship, right?
Yeah.
I think that word gets thrown around to where it's saying that you have to serve, right? Would that be your definition of worship?
Well, certain things that this religion believe that you also apply, as in your everyday living. Like again, the Hebrew Israelites, in order, we don't eat pork. Just say we don't eat pork.
Right.
You understand that. Would you say, hey, well, I believe what the Hebrew Israelites say, and I won't eat pork? Or it's like, okay, well, I understand why you don't eat pork, but I'm gonna smack this shit.
Yeah, well, with that being stated, because there's like the Muslims, right? I know a couple
Yeah.
Muslims, and they don't eat pork, right? And I was asking them, OG Cat from Oakland, and I was like, why don't y'all eat pork? And he said, because pigs don't have sweat glands. So everything that they intake and all the fat and everything, all the toxins that they do, they can't release none of that. So all the toxins come into your body, and then it may do whatever it does to your body, right? But with
Right.
that, but with that being stated, I don't think that that's a major part of who you are on a spiritual level, right? And this is what I was trying to say earlier. So if you have your different doctrines on how you do different things, that's fine. But when it comes to the upper understanding of the spiritual side, and that even because we're only talking about the body when we're talking about intaking these toxins, right? We're not talking about the spirit. So I can eat ham sandwiches all day, but my mind and my spirit is still on some upper echelon level, to where this is nothing but my playground now, right? So when I figure out this is backed by the scripture by saying once you come into the kingdom of God, everything else will be added on to you, right?
Well,
So with,
but you saying there's multiple gods. So which God is
wait,
saying that, and which one would you apply it to?
wait. So, and I understand your question. So that was a dope question, but ultimately, this is what I'm taking from this scripture, so that you can understand what I just now gave for that example of me still understanding Muslims, but still being able to eat pork on my own personal thing, right? So, with that being stated, again, I'm not concerned with the physical at all, right?
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Hey,
The
brother, you mind me asking, when did you decide to become Hebrew, or what led you to that decision?
hold on one second. Are you talking to him or are you talking to me?
To Shay.
No, his name is
I
Shad.
know you not a Hebrew.
Real quick, Shad, did you understand what I was saying with that?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Okay, so y'all can rock. Go ahead.
But uh,
You got another
I'm
question?
I'm answering his question real quick, and then I'm gonna get back to
Okay.
when I became a Hebrew Israelite, I was looking for my history, where I came from. I didn't know too much about my dad. I didn't know too much about my grandfather, his grandfather. All I know is I'm supposed to be a slave. I was supposed to be a slave here in America, and now we here free. That's all I knew. So me delving into my history, I found out that my people came from this place, that place, and it led me back to the Bible. Now again, I used to be a Christian that believed in certain things in the Bible that I was told, but I never really read it. So as I'm looking for my history, it led me to the Bible, and the Bible led me into more Black history, and that's when it dawned on me, or the Most High put it on my heart that this Hebrew Israelites, those are my ancestors, and that's where I come from. Those are my people. And from there on, I've been reading my book, getting more in tune with my ancestral glands and my ancestors, who I believe are the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt. I understand. And I think that's why I asked. Because once you figure out the understanding, then you'll be able to see the vision. And that's why with me, I don't have a problem with brothers converting to Judaism. Because I think that these
I don't follow a religion at all.
so yeah, when I say follow a religion, I mean you are Hebrew, right?
Con
And that is a would you define that as a religion?
nationality,
Okay, it's a nationality. So
like the
you
con.
subscribe to that nation. Well, to me,
Con.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I mean no disrespect by it. But the point I
So
was trying to get at is I have no qualms with somebody going with that nationality because in these times where we do live in a chaotic world, and I think a lot of people are searching for truth and history. It's good to have some form of structure and some form of greater community rather than the one that was given to us, which is we just slaves and we need to live in a slave mindset. And that's the perspective I take when I look at it.
that's what opened me up. That's what woke me up. So you don't subscribe to the God of the Bible, of the Hebrew Bible.
I do. I think the God of the Bible, well, let me put it this way. I think we play a lot of semantic games because of the language differences. So God is God. If you believe in a divine source, a God, a Yahweh figure, Allah, whatever, as long as the definition and the meaning of it is the same, then it's all the same God. But when we
Right.
tribalize ourselves and we add different names to it, it gives off the illusion that we're talking about something different
Facts.
when it's really just the same thing. Because the purpose of it is the same. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. I agree, and I slightly disagree also. But I do agree with most of what you're saying. What I say I disagree is because again, rules for pit bulls are a little different from rules from your Chihuahua. Even though they're all dogs, they do have different rules.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think we can expand on that a little bit when it comes to the rules. So, because you see, I'm just gonna say Hebrew. You see the Hebrews as a nation. So,
Yeah.
if it is a nation, then that nation, it makes logical sense to have particular rules, codes, and moralities for that nation. That way, you're able to separate yourself from others, which, in a sense, is a good thing when it comes to community and tribes. I think it's foolhardy to believe that every single human on earth is going to believe in the same thing and want to live their life the same way. That's why we group ourselves. So, when it comes to the Hebrew nation and the Hebrew rules, as long as it's structured in building a particular community for the greater good, I have no problem with that. You understand what I'm
Definitely.
saying?
And I
God.
want to add to that. And I have to use you as an example real quick, Shy. So again, I just want to reiterate the fact that you said that you're a part of a nation. It's not a religion, right?
God.
But if there's different aspects, or if everybody's not from the same camp, just like ZTS just now said, then everybody would have the different rules that they abide by. So with that being stated, do you think, and I have to ask you this, and I know you're supposed to be asking me questions, so please get your questions ready. But I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes down to the separation part, right? So do you think that there is a quote unquote right way to be a Hebrew Israelite, or how does that work?
um, and I'm gonna wrap this question up real quick, and we're gonna get back to what we was doing.
Yeah, no, we're good, we're good.
But again, I do believe that again, certain people have to live certain ways. The Levites have to live this way. These are their rules. The Judah has to live this way. Dan has to live this way. They all got different rules that our dad tell us to do. You know what I mean? Or if that makes sense.
No, that's understood for sure.
Um, so with that being said, so you don't subscribe to the God of the Bible neither. If self-made, that means, and I remember asking you this question again, but I didn't get too much clarity. You said the creator, the creation, make the creator. How did you say that again? Which saying the antelope made the antelope, right?
So ultimately, let me break it down from the beginning, right? So we're talking about God and how I view God, and I think you would agree to say that God.
Which God? We're talking about the Hebrew God, not any other God.
No, I'm just
Because
saying. I'm just saying.
for the disclaimer, just for the disclaimer, I do believe there is other gods. I
Okay,
don't
that's fine.
worship them, nor do I follow their rules. But the Bible even speaks of other gods.
Definitely, definitely. It even says that ye are gods, but we can touch
God,
that later. So when it comes down to the ultimate, I believe if you ask anybody that believes in a most high God, they would say that God always has been and always will be, right? That this God has no creator, it has no beginning, it has no end, correct?
or or at least we don't have that information.
Right. And that's absolutely fine. So with that being stated, I agree with that, right? And the reason why I agree with that, because what people consider to be God, I just say that it's consciousness and energy, right? So with that being stated, when you ask me, am I referring to the God of the Bible, or I'm referring to the Hebrew God or the Christian God? Every time I say God that I'm referring to consciousness and energy, right?
Not a religious God at all.
Well, that depends on who because
From
I
the
can
question.
ask, yeah, because I can ask you, what is your God made of, right?
Yeah.
and then you would have to give me I guess you want to say the genetic makeup or whatever you want to give me that would constitute what your God is. And I'm pretty sure consciousness and energy would be somewhere in there. So just to get rid of all the confusion and the different, we're just going to keep it as one thing, consciousness and energy, right? Because I don't think that no God can escape that, period, right? So with that being stated, so when you ask me about creation being able to create itself, I'm only talking about formulas of consciousness and energy creating different things from that formula or putting itself into a different form to create, or the formula creates the form, right? So it's still consciousness and energy is still what people would consider God, right? It's still what other people would consider a creator being. But consciousness and energy is also a creator being, right? So with that being stated, the information that I'm relaying to you, whenever somebody says that something created itself, it's the same thing. It just has a different form, right? So the same
consciousness and energy came together and created the antelope.
Consciousness and energy can't be separate. But to answer your question, yes, it's because the antelope is a different form, right? Just like how you got a different form from me, but you would say that we came from the same thing, right?
Well, the Bible tells me that the Most High God created me, and He created all things that's on the earth, in the waters, and in the air, which describes the animals on how they got here. But
Yeah,
that's not.
I don't disagree with that.
So He did that through consciousness and energy, and it just poofed out the air.
What just poofed out the air?
The antelope.
So okay, so let me give it to you like this, right? Because even because what you're saying is that, and I thought you was rolling with me, but then you said it poofed out the air. So if you're saying that God created it, it didn't just poof out the air, right?
It's called the Great Unfolding.
Thank you, but follow me, Shai T. So when I say this, when I say that it's a formula of God or a different form of God, this is just a different form of consciousness and energy. So you can look at this Most High God as consciousness and energy. Now, mind you, because you said this earlier, you said that you're going to step away from your defensive side, and then you're going to get an understanding of where we're coming from. So this is why I'm trying to break it down to you. So how you say that the Creator God created these things, right? This creator God would still have to form these things and put that in a different form other than human beings, right? So so my thing is that consciousness and energy forms itself into different ways and different like mathematics, right? There's a lot of different formulas that comes along with mathematics and that these things can be created, right? And the formulas are endless because consciousness and energy is endless. You know what I mean? You don't even have to have an idea of, okay, well, it needs to be this or it needs to be that because it is what it is going to be. Whatever it feels like forming itself into, it has the freedom to do that. So it's not that it's completing, it's like coming out of thin air or being poof from nowhere. Consciousness and energy has always been around. So we can't say no. That's where it's coming from. So, so to go back to circle the block back real quick. So when I say that if I say that I created myself, I'm referring to myself not in Woon's form. I'm referring to myself as the most high of which I truly am, which is consciousness and energy. So I'm breaking myself back down to the basis of what I truly am. And then I'm saying that consciousness and energy created a form of what we now call Woon.
Right.
Well, nigga, Jesse Lee Peterson say, amazing. Amazing. Okay, so how does now again the history of our people, and I'm sure everybody in here, share the same type of hue and the same type of history of our people being crushed, killed, destroyed, oppressed, and all that. How does your first off, how do your your way of your God, like how did that come about for it seems like only us. How did that work? Why is that happening to only us?
Oh, so
Let
you're
me ask
saying
you a question.
you're
Because I go ahead, brother.
so you're saying what our experience that we're having, you're saying like why does our experience seem like it's worse than anybody else's?
Because again, the Bible tells us, if we disobey, and life just tells us, if you disobey your father, you get certain punishments. And you don't subscribe to the Bible, but the the Bible said that these people disobeyed their father, their God, and He punished them by sending them and having them being crushed, killed, and destroyed for and being slaves for a certain amount of time. Um, but you don't subscribe to that. How do you explain that then?
Let's
Does that
well
make
let's
sense?
yeah, I got you. Let's take it back because you said I don't subscribe to the Bible, but I do. But with that being stated, so when we're talking about being punished, right? With
Hmm.
that being stated, and I have to ask you, what's the origin of when we elect? And I'm only asking you this question so I can give you my answer, right? So I can make sure that we're on the same type of page. So, at what point in time was it that we had made this mistake or went against God to that only a certain demographic of people are being punished right now?
It was a multiple. It happened to us multiple times in the Bible, or it happened to these Israelites multiple times in the Bible. But the last one was going to be. Well, the Bible kind of describes the American version of our slavery. So it happens. It happened on multiple times, and we're still going through it now because we're still an oppressed people.
Well, I'm just more or less looking for the a point of origin because if we have to have a point of origin.
You elaborate.
Okay, so if you're saying that as a people we have been punished, right, or we're being punished right now, right?
Right.
So with that being stated, would you say, and I'm just going to jump straight to it, are we referring all the way back to Adam and Eve, or what are we talking about right now?
I'm talking about I'm talking about the American slavery. I'm talking about the oppression that we are going through here in America. I'm talking about even the Assyrian slavery. Just all these slaveries that the black people are going through, and these atrocities that we have to go through as a people. Um,
You wanna
yeah, the slaveries, but again, the police brutality, the not even knowing who we are, where we come from. You know what I
do you
mean? Being
wanna
so
engage?
lost as a people. Where did you know what I mean? Can you explain that?
Yeah,
Hey, let me
so
before you do that. Do you want to engage in a thought experiment to see if you could arrive at the answer yourself?
hold on, wait, now
Well, I
we can
want
get
to
to that because
understand. I want to understand. I might not agree, but I do want to understand. If
Yeah,
that
this
makes
this
sense.
might help you understand. You're gonna I'm a So let me ask you a question. Who do you believe is the original man or the original hue, or how do you believe the first humans look?
They just look like normal humans.
That what's a normal human to you?
What we look like.
All right, so you believe that the original human looks something like you, your skin color, right?
Not my skin color. I wasn't. My skin color wasn't created till Adam and Eve.
All right, so Adam and so you believe there were other people here before Adam and Eve?
Uh,
Okay. Well, those people who were here before Adam and Eve, where you think they came from?
God
Oh,
made them too, just like He made the rest of the animals. They were just a part of the land animals, because we are animals just like everybody, just like the rest of them. He made them in regular animals, like He, and then He formed the black man out of the dust. That's what I believe.
so you basically, because I'm just trying to understand, you believe that there was a separate group of humans, and then the black man came to be, and that's the race of Adam and Eve, which is
But
us.
uh, I think the original human was created, and I think the darker people was formed.
Who created the original human?
The Most High God, the Creator God of the Hebrew.
So the same Hebrew God created the separate humans who predated Adam and Eve, and then he came and created
Formed.
the Adamites. Let me just call it that. And you believe that when he did that from a place of goodness or just, or do you believe that he did that from a place of evil? The original humans.
The original humans is just they was just there as the original animals, just like just like the rest of the animals. They was just here as their species. You know, they were doing what humans were supposed to do, just like the tiger, just like the bear, just like the goldfish. They all played their part, living their species and their life. But he didn't. And again, it's just my opinion on what I read.
Do you believe that? So, in that frame of mind, do you believe that we bred with them, or that we interacted with them and had, like, do you believe we bred with them?
I think we start breeding with them when who killed who out of Cain and Abel?
When Cain
Cain
killed
killed
Abel.
Abel.
Cain killed Abel. So when Cain got cast out, that's when we start mingling with them. That's when he took his first wife and started mingling with them. When he got cast out, he found him a wife and he started building on the city, and that's when they start mingling with the outside world.
All
I
right,
don't know too much.
all right. So no, you don't gotta go deep into that. So now, from that story, do you believe after Cain got casted out, do you believe that you descend from Cain?
I descend from Adam.
Right, but Adam created Cain. Cain got casted out, and then Cain started breeding with the other humans, right? Or are you saying that after Cain got casted out, Adam and Eve's offspring then went on to continue creating more humans? Which
Uh,
line do you
I'm,
come from? Because there
I'm
seems to
not.
be a separation right there.
I'm not too sure on that. I haven't really did too much thinking about that, but it was just I'm not because again,
We just
Cain and Abel
speculate.
was
You know what I'm saying? We just
the
doing a thought
Cain,
experiment. Remember?
no, it's all good. Cain and Abel was not their only kids, so I can't say that I'm just from Abel or Cain when they had other kids, and I might be from one of them, but I know they are from their father.
So, if you were to speculate, right? Let's say that
But let
there
me
is.
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Anything that I'm saying that I believe, do you subscribe to that, or is just bullshit to you?
No, it's not bullshit. I do believe that all humans come from one singular source. You
Oh
understand?
wow.
All
Like,
hum
I said,
all
look,
humans come
right.
from one.
Every human being on Earth, we all came from one source, one
I'd
tribe,
say
one people.
Jasmine is on her way.
But
Hey,
Oh,
so
is it Adam and Eve?
Mike,
Is it Adam and
Yeah, yeah.
Eve?
You call it.
Who
Yeah,
are
you
these
call
two
them Adam and
people?
Eve. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, they were Adam and Eve,
So
but
do you
there
subscribe
was
to the
one
Bible?
family. Yeah, I prescribe to the Bible. I would say that I do. I read the Bible from beginning to end, and I do believe that the Bible has a basic understanding. Then it has a, what I would say, a higher level understanding, and then a supreme understanding. So it's like levels within levels within levels. You could read. That's why you could keep reading it over and over and getting different understandings from it.
that's
So
a
you
fact.
read the Bible completely all the way through as a book, or you
Genesis
read
to
it precept
Revelation.
upon precept?
I read it from Genesis to Revelations, and I even
Um,
read some of
what did you
the
get from it? What did you get out of that? What did you get out of that Bible? Reading that Bible,
It's a book based on morality. It was meant to civilize man,
just all man.
all humans.
Woon,
I
do
think
you
that's
believe that?
I agree with him, but I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna say that, and I haven't read the whole Bible, but the Bible to me is it's confirmation for me because every time I could pick, if as long as I could pick it up, just like what he just now said, there's a basic understanding, there's a higher understanding, and then there's a supreme understanding. So typically, any scripture that I've came across, for whatever reason, I automatically approach it from that supreme level understanding, right? So with that being stated, I think that anybody has access to gaining that understanding, um, the supreme understanding, as long as you are open enough, and this is why Jesus tells you to be open. You know what I mean? So all of these different miracles that are happening are just
Hey, not to cut you off, not to cut you off. I'm gonna turn my camera off. I'm still listening. I'm gonna keep my mic on, but I gotta go get my charger. So I'm
sure,
still listening.
sure. So when it comes down to the understanding, I don't think that that everybody's going to come into the same understanding at the same time. And it says that somewhere in Romans where they're talking about the first fruits, and there's going to be a set of people that are going to get it, but each their own time, right? So with that being stated, you still might have to, either get up under your master teacher, or live a little bit more. And I think that this is the most important thing. With living experience comes understanding of what's being spoken, right? As long as you're open enough. And this is what I was getting to with Jesus. Jesus tells you, anytime that miracles are performed, you have to be open in order to receive what's being given to you, right? So with that being stated, sometimes we only get a basic understanding either by way of inexperience or just by ignorance. And I don't mean ignorance like them. I'm just meaning choosing to ignore what's being stated, probably because you're not ready to receive it yet, right? So with that being stated, as long as you're putting yourself on the market, you're going to get hired. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just as simple as that. Like, you know what I mean? So with that being stated, I believe that the Bible is for everybody, but at the same time, it just depends on who's reading it and how they're reading it and why. Now, there is a difference between, in my perspective, the people who are reading it looking for answers, right? Because I don't read the Bible looking for answers, right? Anytime I want any type of answer, I'm either going within. You could call it meditate, you could call it praying, you could call it whatever you want to, but I'm working on myself, right? Self first. It's just like I said, the scriptures say, everything's going to be added on to you when the kingdom of God comes within. So with that being stated, the only thing I'm doing is working on this I am shit, and then everything else is going to be added on to me, right? So when I receive certain scriptures, I receive them from that higher perspective because I didn't already can't let the kingdom of God come into me, and I recognize it and I proclaim it, right? I proclaim it. So with that being stated, some people don't do that, and that's why they may have to go through the different steps, as if like ZTS was saying, like, you know what I mean. So to answer your question directly, and I'm sorry I'm being long-winded, but it seems like your question to me was, do I agree that the Bible is for all people? So my answer to you would be yes. Or if that wasn't the question, yeah, please elaborate on that.
Well, I was just because again I asked you a question and he asked me a question. I answered the question. I was asking if you agree with my answer because I wanted to see what his answer was, and then that makes sense too. That makes sense. All right, so
Yeah, while you were just speaking just now, I am Woon. Like something just crossed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Before I ask you, are you familiar with the prophet Elijah in the Bible? Or
And the
even yeah, or even you could even go with Enoch or Elijah. The Bible has a lot of prophets, but you're
I'm,
familiar
I'm
with
not.
them, right?
I'm not. Just like I said earlier, I haven't read the whole Bible, but I'm pretty sure that if it's talking about some prophecy type things, and I will be able to pick it up. But I've heard about Enoch, right? And I've heard
All right.
about Elijah, but I'm not too familiar with it. So if anything that you want to ask about
All
it,
right,
we can.
yeah, so yeah, I'll break down what I mean by that. So in the Bible, there's particular groups of different prophets that come to be, and these prophets they all share the same story, which
Right.
is they come of age and they discover the supreme God.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
Right. So they once they discover the supreme God, they come back down to the human level and they do this thing called I'm butchering the word, proselytizing. In other words, they have this urge to want to teach the people their discovery.
Definitely.
And that's what makes them prophet because in other words, they come across information from the supreme being that they download, and then they want to take that information out and teach it to the people. And that's what gives them the term prophets. That's what give Muhammad the term a prophet. That's what give, you could even say Jesus, you could say Elijah, you could say Moses, all these great figures, regardless of the culture or religion. Even
They're
if
just
you go
teachers.
in the Chinese, they have their own prophets. Go to the Native Americans, they got their own prophets. Africans, Europeans, it's all the same. They
I got
come with that information from the supreme being and they try to teach the people. But oftentimes, what they realize is not everybody is at the same level. So,
that's a
what they
fact.
do is they form and craft stories because the end goal is to teach the people. And sometimes you gotta, for lack of a better word, dumb it down. Sometimes you gotta put it in story form as
Yeah.
long as
You
the
gotta meet
point
people
is
where they
getting
at.
across. Right.
Yeah, nah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. And a thing that I tell people is that that energy is the highest form of currency, right? So what we're doing right now, we call it building, we could call it debate, we could call it whatever, but ultimately, I would tell people that we're throwing around money, right? So with that being stated, if you could benefit from money, then you profit from this money, right? So just like you said, like I may go put in some work and then I'm gonna bring the shit back to my people just like on some Robin Hood shit, right? I'm gonna go out there and go get something and I'm gonna bring it back to the people. So with
That's a
that
good
being
breakdown.
stated,
Yeah.
yeah, so with that being stated, there's a lot of different ways on how you just now said it, and we could break it down from so many different ways. Just like I said, with the profit means that you're going to benefit from it in some type of way, right? So with that being stated, like it just depends on how people receive the information, just like you said, and sometimes we have to what's the word anthropomorphize? Is that, am I saying that right?
Yeah, I get
Anthropomorphize.
what you're saying. Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta
So basically, turning these
you gotta
stories.
symbolize it.
Exactly. You have to turn these things into stories so that we can get it. And that's absolutely fine as well. But just like I said, I was already where I'm at. Other than me being a child, I was already where I'm at when I started receiving certain Bible scriptures. So they don't like the I'm symbol literate. So sometimes you don't need to paint the picture for me in order for me to see. My third eye is already activated, so symbology comes to me naturally. So when I see certain things, it's automatically converted on some alchemy type shit, right? So with that being stated, yeah, it's lit.
Yeah, no doubt.
But go ahead, Shy, because I know that you probably have more questions. But hey Zab, yeah, hey Zab, you gonna we definitely have to because I definitely want to see
Yeah,
about your
I
opinion too
just
for
followed
sure.
you on Instagram though. If that is your Instagram that you got in the description.
My Instagram. Are you talking about who we talking about?
No, because on your video you got the description down there. You know, right below.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about on
yeah, yeah,
YouTube.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
it right
No,
there, Mr. Woon 916.
916. Yeah, that's me.
Man.
For
Yeah.
sure. All right.
Oh shit.
But
Oh yeah. Okay, I thought I
back
was
to
on mute.
Shy.
I was on mute.
Yeah, back to Shy.
But oh,
Oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Well,
Salaki,
no.
go ahead.
The point that I was trying to get you to is, and this is just my understanding, right? You don't got to believe the same thing. I know it's controversial, but I do believe that all humans come from the same family. So even when we have this view of white people, I oftentimes ask people, where do you think white people came from?
Mm. Well,
And
you
these are
Is
the
know.
that a
same people
question?
that no, no,
Is
no.
that a
This
question
is
you
just
asking?
like
I can answer
this
the
is a
question.
thought experiment I run on myself because these are the same people who oftentimes, more than not, they proclaim that we are the original people. So how do you make that compute? See, oftentimes people glitch, they glitch out because they don't even want to go down that route. Because the logical conclusion to that would be obviously white people came from us if we are the original. So they are us. They're just a
Right,
mutation of us. But what that does is it
I
brings
believe
the
that.
accountability back to us.
right.
See,
Or it
when we
should.
separate them and we say they're devils, they're this, they're that, what we're trying to do is we're trying to separate a component of ourselves. by exteriorizing it or externalizing it.
Yeah,
Facts.
but they
And
were
that's how
they
you
were
create
they
a
were
devil.
also they were also cursed as a people too. And
That
that
part
and
is the
again
belief.
and that's in the Bible. That's they're biblically cursed too because they gave up their birthrights.
But I
But
believe that's
that's just
part
my
of the
opinion.
externalizing that we're doing by making them a demon or a devil, making them a deity that's separate from ourselves. So it's a glitch that we do in our head that becomes, in a way, a prison in a sense, because it's an illogical belief that you could get trapped in. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's and I'm glad that you put it like that because there are things um in all facets of, I was literally just now watching Black Magic 363. I forgot what word that he used, but he said that they use it a lot in physics. And it's ultimately saying, for one thing, it's always going to be something that balances that out, right? I think it was some whatever it was. But ultimately, so what we're looking at is just like you said, different aspects of ourselves that may show us different or that may bring out different things within us, right? So even and Shai, I'm gonna just say this, even in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they say that that this quote unquote white man was placed above us until we get back into our God mode, or the go back to the laws and statutes and commandments, right? So with that being,
Every man, not just the white man, but the white man is going, since he's such a corrupt person, he's going to really have his foot on our neck. But every nation is going to be above us.
yeah, definitely. And I'm just using the white man because that's what we're talking about right now, right? So with that being stated, even with that, is like you look at them, and then it's because my question used to be, okay, well, if this is God appointed, right, for having these white people be above us to serve out a form of punishment, then we should damn near still be getting along with them and not even really blaming them for real. We should be accepting this punishment as what it is and learn from it and move the fuck on. But for some odd reason, just like ZTS just now said, we're imprisoned in our minds thinking that they are this quote unquote demon that came out of nowhere or devil that came out of nowhere that we have to separate ourselves from. You understand
No,
what I'm saying?
because they are. We're just so used to been sitting in the shit that we're getting comfortable sitting in shit. That's all that is. They are the crush killers and destroyers. Their history shows and proves that they are crush, kill, and destroyers, liars, manipulators. It showed that
We
they are
taught them
our
that though.
enemies.
We
Again,
had to teach them that.
but they are our brother at the same time. So
Hey,
I don't blame me personally. Again, I'm separating myself from the whole Israelite
hey, brother,
community.
like, not to cut you up, but I just gotta say this one thing too, and it was something very, very fascinating that when I discovered it, I had to like double check, and I don't know the particular name, but I do know there are several African tribes, right? Particularly the Oshun or the Ogun, and there was even this queen, and they all had this concept of the apocalypse. And in their stories, they would always say, "There's gonna come a time when people other than us is gonna come and conquer us and put us in bondage." And they've been speaking this, speaking this, speaking this until the time when the Portuguese actually landed on the shores of Africa. They already had in their mind that they were supposed to be visited by people that are going to conquer them. Mentally, they were already, it was already over for them because they already created this boogeyman that when the boogeyman showed up, they just accepted it and they trapped their mind in this position of bondage. See, oftentimes we create our devils, and by even saying it that I am a this and I am a that, what you're doing is you are enforcing the reality in which you live in. You understand
No,
what I'm
I get
saying?
it. No, I get it. And on the flip side, on that same thing, um, if Woon is my son, and I tell Woon, hey, if you ain't here, if you ain't bring my car back by 11, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Here it is 12. Here it is 3. I call Woon at 4. I say, all right, Woon. Now if fucking if Woo got to come around there, I'm gonna whoop your ass. 2 hours later, come 13 hours later, I send his mom through there. Won't know that's his ass. If that
And,
Right.
makes
So now
sense.
the burden, yes, so
So
now
he
the
so
burden
he's
is on
so
Woon.
he's going to accept his ass whooping because he knew that he disobeyed his father, and once somebody come over here for that punishment, you gotta have to accept it. That's just how I took that. Uh, honestly, because again, we have accepted this slavery that we're in now. Um, the oppression that we're in now, we're coming out of it, but
I think that and I know ZTS, you had kind of said this earlier. Uh, sometimes we get trapped into these words, right? And depending on what level of existence that you vibrate on, then that's how you're going to receive certain scriptures, right? For the sake of this conversation. Um, Now, I would ask somebody, are we physical or are we spiritual? Meaning, are we this human body or are we more spiritual? And any answer is correct, right? Because we are in human form, right? But ultimately, uh, we're spirit first, right? So, with that being stated, when it comes down to this form of slavery, until we get it right, this goes back to what you were saying with the different levels of understanding. So if we're talking about uh being a slave, right, then you have to have a master, right? So even in Spanish, maestro translates to master, which is what people which is teacher, basically is a teacher. Maestro means teacher, which is also meaning master, right, to the students, which are slaves that will have to sit up under the masters until they master what they need to master, right? So with that being stated, we can play this game, and there's nothing wrong with that. If this is where you're at, there's nothing wrong with that. We can play this game to say the experiences that we have had in terms of being human, and yeah, we went through slavery, yada yada yada. But for what? What
but
is what is
we can't yada yada yada, man, because that's what I'm saying. Our
wait, wait, wait,
again,
wait, wait. Listen,
the God that I hold on, because this leads into the question. The
wait,
God
wait.
that I the God that I believe, the God that I read up on and that I attach myself to, he
Mhm.
tells me, he kind of explains why certain things is happening. If you don't subscribe to that God, can you explain to me why are we so shitty and so fucked up as a? That was the original question before he started asking me questions. Can you explain to me why our people is so fucked up in the mind and we so low mind stated, and we, in your words, vibrate so low as a people? Why are we slaves if we are our own gods, and this God here did not put us in this punishment, and that story is not true? Why are we in this state? Why did this ever happen to us?
Okay, so you cut me off, and I was asked, what is the purpose of going through any type of slavery, right? I kind of just now gave away when I was doing the student teacher thing. So
I
that
can
these
I can answer that. The reason why is because again, your dad told you to bring
no, no,
your
no,
ass home at 11.
no, 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 the purpose, not more or less the reason, but the purpose.
The purpose, I'm gonna tell you.
Go
Because
ahead.
your daddy told you to bring your ass home
We
at 11.
understand that.
Listen.
We
Let
understand
me
that. Go
land this. Let me land this. Let me land this. Because your daddy told you bring your ass home at 11 and you didn't. Because your daddy told you that you have to go to school, nigga, and you didn't. Your daddy told you, nigga, to mow the lawn and you didn't. Your daddy told you this and you didn't. Your daddy told you that and you didn't. So you keep on testing him. He has to put you in some type of punishment in order for you to understand he ain't bullshitting with you. If not, you gonna be. If not, then you don't have to come home at 11 because there is no consequences of you not coming home at 11. So I have to give you some type of punishment so you would know to bring your ass in this house at 11. To now you're gonna wish you was in. Now you're gonna be in this motherfucker at 10. You know what I mean? So that's the reason for the punishment, so you can know that I'm not playing with you.
Let's take this as far as that can go, right? Let's say people don't listen right now, so the ultimate punishment is to be in hell for forever, right? Or just to be out of here for forever. What lesson does that teach if you're not going to be here to receive the lesson, to grow above that, right? So with that being stated, that's why I don't subscribe to anybody who says, well, you're going to be here forever, right? That's just like saying, Shy T, you fuck up one time and your ass is out of here forever. But guess what? The Bible, other way, I know. The Bible says you can have a rebirth, right? You can be born again, right? So with that being stated, we have to say that there's never going to be a time to where you can't be rebirthed, right? And if you believe that you cannot be rebirthed, then why are you still living? You feel me? Well, with that being stated, so let me go back to the beginning. So the reason that we're talking about, and I kind of gave this away earlier and shit too, the reason that we have differences, just like we're having a difference right now, everybody's doing something different. So your way of believing, now, hear me out. The way of your believing may not be the way that the Most High thinks, right? And the reason why I say that is because that you understand that there's other Hebrew Israelites that don't believe like you, right? So my question is still the same thing. What's the purpose of people having differences of opinion, right? Now, with that different state of mind, you're going to carry out different duties, right? Or you're going to, wherever your mind goes, your ass is going to follow, right? So now from this one mind, you create different situations. Why? So you can see what is real and what is not, right? So now you have a practical understanding of what is happening and why it's happening. That's why the creation is here, so we can get outside of our minds to actually know what's going to be going on. Now,
yes, I know what you're talking about. I was just finna add on to what you was finna say as far as like,
you got it because you ain't even spoke there. Go ahead.
As far as just the example that you was using, like, you know, Daddy told you to come home at 11. The only difference is in the example that you're using is the fact that, in a sense, you got a tracker on his car, so you know where he at, you know what time he got there, you know where he gonna go afterwards, you know the whole situation about your son. So in that same situation, you could say, "Hey, come home at 11." You can go get him physically at 11. You see what I'm saying? But you are allowing him to exercise that for a specific reason. I think that's what Woon was trying to get at as far as the purpose, because God allows the bad and the negative shit to happen. He allows you to do all of that shit. You see what I'm saying? So you can say he allows you, and then like Woon said, you got an infinite amount of chances to rebirth yourself after you do some negative shit. You don't? You don't believe that you do?
No, you can't practice sin, man. If you ask to be forgiven for it, you got to try your
I
best
didn't
to.
say that.
Hold on. Let me out. Let me land. If you asking, you can't practice sin. You can't be asking for forgiveness on something and then continuously do it. That's.
Hold on,
I mean, listen to that. That's how I heard it.
That's fine. Is the flesh cursed according to what you believe?
Again, I'm not really here to answer too many questions, man.
Wait.
Because I already know where y'all two can take this, and I really want to stay on point.
We was building.
I know you two too well to even fall for the bait.
You said this earlier that you're not going to be on the defense, so please allow us to see where we're coming from, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm not even going to speak. I'm allowed you to teach. I'm allowing you to edify right now. So with that being said, again, So how do we get out of this state of mind from your beliefs? How do we get out of this? You know what I mean? How do we get out of this shit? Because right now, again, we still at we. I mean, we getting better. We getting black people that's getting money and land and businesses and all that type of shit, resources and all that shit. We getting that, but we still mentally fucked up. How does, um, how do your community, uh, help help with that people? What's the solution for our
Okay.
people on that stance?
Well, that's real simple. For one, and I hate to say this, but anybody who's on a spiritual type of time, stop worrying about black people. Period. And
Worry about yourself.
no, I didn't say that. But what I'm telling you is that just like ZTS said earlier, you're putting yourself in a mental prison, right? How do we do this? How do we do that? These black people, such and such and such, but you can't even get a, and I'm not trying to disrespect you, but you have differences of opinion with people who are supposed to be Hebrew Israelites. So you got to answer that question before you ask me that, but I'm going to answer your question, right? So the first thing we have to do is separate ourselves from separatism. We have to do that first, right? And as soon as we do that, then yes, answer your question. You have to not worry about yourself because there's nothing to worry about. You have to focus on yourself. Just like Selfmade's intro, you gotta what y'all said? Work on thyself to know thyself. So basically, what we're talking about when he says that is ultimately doing shadow work, right? So with that being stated, so anything that you think that applies to you on a human scale doesn't really apply to you on a spiritual scale. But when you combine those two things and you say that those two things are one thing, then you understand that you have to go through these human trials and errors in order for spiritual liberation, right? So with that being stated, you have to accept everything that is, right? Because God is putting all these things out here so that you can understand what's going on. So the more that you accept these things, the more that you're able to excel, right? So now I can't say, well, just like ZTS said earlier, I can't beat it into you, like, you know what I mean? I can't say, "Sure, you need to do it." And black people do this with each other. You need to do this. We need to. No, nigga, I'm on my own type of time right now, bro. I don't know what you talking about. You can be telling me the best thing in the world, but guess what? I can have the baddest bitch, but if I'm not ready to be in a relationship with her, she's just the baddest bitch, but I'm gonna still cheat on her. So you have to be ready to do the internal work in order for you to receive the higher things that is going to take place. And just like I just now said that the scriptures say, when you accept that and the kingdom of God comes within you, everything else is going to be added on to you. We're worried about finances, we're worried about businesses, we're worried about all these things that don't even matter because we're spiritually not there. When you spiritually get there, then all those things are going to come to you anyway. So why are we even saying that we need to do this and we need to do that when the only thing you need to do is check yourself?
Amazing. Self-made. Can you answer that same question?
Hey, you gotta tap into self to know thyself, man. You're saying people don't know thyself. That's that's the only way.
So basically, just do
Continue on.
you.
Let's continue. Let's just continue. Life is continue, like everything is continuously evolving and moving. So we
That's why
have
you
to enjoy the ride. It's like we took off on a roller coaster and we hit the first dip and you mad. You know what I'm saying? It's like we got to continue this ride. We got to go up. We got to go down till we hit, home station or home base, however you want to look at it. We at second base right now. We need to hit third, but we
So
continuously
how do we get to third when we keep getting, you know what I mean? Because again, I can get a
That's from
single. It's easy to get a single, and that's what you're saying. But again, it takes that whole. It might take the rest of the team for me to score. Everything
Troy.
is not a home run. You
You
know what I mean? So
we're
how do
being
I get
appointed.
from second to third?
We're being
that's
we're being appointed to be slaves, and you're asking me how to get to third base.
because we're not slaves anymore. Even in the and out. Well, again, that's
Wait.
why
So
we
okay, so we're not slaves anymore. So
We're free.
why do you feel like we're in a bad place?
because the world still sees us as slaves still, even though we are out of that. And it's just my opinion. We are out of that mind state because again, a slave is just to me is just a worker. If you're working for somebody else, then you're a slave. And if you are doing your own thing, starting your own business, doing on your own time, then you are not a slave. You know what I mean? So we're coming out of that because we're starting to own shit, we're starting to run shit, and we're
Would
starting
you
to, you know
consider
what I mean, provide for other people.
like say none of this shit was here, right? And you still had to work to get your
But it
food and
is.
no, I'm just
But it
asking.
is.
I'm just asking the
But it,
question real quick. It has nothing to do with what you're trying to get at. I'm saying if we were working to, you know, grow our own food and working to create certain medicines for our tribe, is that not a slave?
uh
You're here to serve.
And if so,
it's work. It's
if
work.
so,
It's work. It's
okay,
work.
okay. Now let me
It's
ask you
work.
this. So if so, who is the master?
I am.
Bruce Leroy shit.
I am
How?
because I is I run everything. I produce. I pick. I do this, that, and the
You're
third,
not
and I
producing the
produce it.
fruit. You're not
I
producing.
am though.
How?
So what am I doing then?
You're tilling to the soil. The tree is producing the fruit.
Somebody has to tend to it. I'm tending to it.
Right. So you're a slave to the tree.
Well, again, I'm still a slave to the tree.
Perspective.
I
He's
don't know.
making. Yeah. He's
I
giving it
don't
to you.
know, man.
Perspective.
Listen. I'm not gonna get that deep into
We
it.
building, bro. We
Yeah, you
don't think
got it. You
don't
got it.
think
You
on
got
that
it. You
time.
both
We
you
just
tried.
building. We
Yeah, but again,
just building.
that's confusing me, and it's getting me off.
You said we tilling to the
I'm a
land.
slave.
So
I'm a
if
slave to the tree. No, listen,
are
but
you
that is hold on. This is why I say that. Let me land this right quick
yeah,
second.
yeah.
I do believe that we should grow our own veggies, we should grow our own fruits, and produce them to our people. I think there should be a black owned banana company. I think there should be a black owned almond company, black owned fruits, vegetables, all that. We should be growing it from our own land, employing our own people to get those, to, you know, make sure everything is good and produce it to our people. I do believe that.
Okay.
So you think that all people think that way too?
Um, no, that's why we do. I think a lot of people can agree. Hold on, let me land. I think a lot of people can agree with it if it was on the table, but the problem is we don't have those type of conversations. You know what I mean? We don't have those type of conversations. We always going at each other's throat, calling each other's ideas stupid, and you know I can hit 20 good gems, but the next man is going to say, you know what, I agree with you, but what I don't agree with, and again, we don't build on that positive shit we just said. You know what I mean? So it's not really a topic of conversation.
Do
So
you
my
do
so
you
my question was really geared towards: do you think other ethnicities agree with saying that we need to supply these things for our culture?
Yes, they do. Not only that, and they also know that they need to supply it for the black man because the black man is going to spend that money for one, and for two, they don't got it themselves. The black man's dollar is worth a lot, and they don't have no resources where they can go get it from another person that looks like them.
Definitely. So with that being stated, um, do you think that because you said that these conversations are not had, right?
Yeah.
Now, I believe that farming or even what's the word that I'm looking for? Um to where you do trades and services. I believe that that's been around way before what we're doing right now. right? So I'm saying that to say that I think that we write that off like this never been a conversation, that we never thought about having our own crops, or never thought about doing this, or never thought about doing that. I think that we pigeonhole ourselves to say that we don't have these conversations. We probably don't have these conversations, even though we have these conversations, but a lot of people don't have them. And I understand what you're saying. But I would say that I think that people are going to ultimately do what they're going to do, which leads me back to saying that we cannot be trapped in the mind state of black this, black that. It looks good on paper. I promise you it does. I got a song called Black is Beautiful. I'm about to do another song called Black Love. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about is how you gonna win if you ain't right within. You feel me? It's just like, again, so if we're talking about, I'm gonna have to keep on hitting you with the scripture. Everything will be added up onto you when you accept the kingdom of God. So again, we're getting misplaced or displaced. If you want to put us into a black culture, we're getting displaced by thinking that we have to be something, right? That ultimately that's not even working for us. So that's what people look to as saying that that's a distraction, right? Black Lives Matter, distraction. All these other movements, yeah, it sounds good and it looks good on paper. It might make you feel good if you're working in a predominantly white company and you come through with your fro pick with the black fist on there and the Black is Beautiful t-shirt. But when you go outside, when you leave work and you go to the liquor store to go grab you a beer, you might look at these niggas like, all right, nigga, I gotta watch my back. So that means how beautiful is black for real, right? So we understand that there's differences of beings, right? I'm not even gonna put it on the race. There's differences of beings and there's different energies. As soon as we accept that, then that's how we're going to get free. But we have to accept that within ourselves first. And as soon as we accept that within ourselves, then we're going to be able to accept people as they are. I don't know if it's Bible scripture, but they say about going to church. Somebody might have put it in a church relation, but I'm just saying God accepts you as you are, right? So with that being stated, it's just like, why do we have to? You don't have to do nothing. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, only thing you got to do is tap in with yourself, and everything else is going to work itself out. I can't stress that enough.
I get it. No, I get it. I understand that.
Things you see in other people that you don't like represent aspects of yourself that you don't
That
like.
you don't like. That's a fact. They're only reflections. Everything that's Shy, you're my reflection. ZTS, my reflection. Self is my reflection. Benet is my reflection. Shout out to Benet that's in the panel right now. So with that being stated, and that's why there is differences, because this one collective learns from the differences, right? Just like people would say that we're here to serve God. So if you look at God as the computer, right? Computers have servers, and servers are loading and sharing data, right? Sharing this information as servers, right? They're here to get the information. They're here to push the information around. That's the same thing that we're doing, right? In this form. So with that being stated, as long as you're open enough to receive what's being served, right? Then you're going to have a better understanding of how you can serve that person. Because believe it or not, they're still God. So when you serve somebody, you're still serving God. So when we're here doing the work that we're doing right now, this is why people call it God's work. We're doing God's work, right? This coming through me. God is working through me to connect with different people. And just like God is working through you, and he's working through everybody. So when you accept that, right, regardless to how it looks, you can say, oh, well, this person just now slapped the shit out of this old lady. How did that make you feel? Right? Why do you have feelings? Why do you care about what somebody else did to somebody else? Why? So you can retain that information and put it on a server and put that into the database. It's that simple.
Man,
He
how is that
said
going? How is that going to get Brenda out of the? How is that going to stop Emmett Till from getting killed again? How is that going? How is that going to stop? You know, what I mean, the police brutality. How is that going to get us out of these projects? How is that going to stop
Okay,
us from killing each other?
let me
How is
ask
that
you
going to
this.
stop the drugs, man?
Let
How
me
is that
ask
going to stop? How is it going to stop? What you know what I mean? That's
I got you. I got you. Do you believe that your Most High works in mysterious ways?
I don't. I believe that he's doing everything that he told you he was going to do. Some of the stuff you forgot that he told you he would do. Some of the
So
stuff you didn't believe that he was going to do. But I do not believe in mysteries or none of that shit.
okay,
I
okay.
don't.
So you
But that's
believe?
just me personally.
Got you. I got you. So do you believe that this world is in was created in a divine design?
Not really sure I understand what that mean.
So is there anything that is out of God's plan?
Nowadays, yes, there is.
It would have to not been there from the beginning. You can't say nowadays and just, I mean, you can from your perspective, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to say that, you're going to say that it has to, it would have had to been from the gate.
Well, it is. It's something that is developing. That is running rampant. It's a couple things that I think that's going on now that wasn't going on probably 100 years ago. We could
So
maybe
why
it might have
so why
started 40, 50 years ago, but 100 years ago, a lot of this stuff wasn't happening.
so why is it permitted from your perspective?
Because the white man's laws is saying that it's okay. The white man brainwashing us,
No, no,
telling us that it's okay,
no, no.
and we are going with it. We are in.
Okay,
We're around people that's saying we're free. You can do what you want. You don't have to have laws. It's all about you. Whatever you want to do, however you want to move, whatever you do, it's you, self. It's yourself. It's I. Don't worry about the people. That's what, and that stuff is off.
I got you.
That
So let
stuff
me
is off
let me reiterate the question so that I can see where you're at. Why do you think that it's permitted to happen from the Most High? Why does He permit it to happen?
again, because we didn't bring our ass home at 11, because we crashed the car, because nigga
Hey,
we
wait,
ain't
wait,
doing
wait,
good
wait,
in
wait, wait,
school.
wait. All
Hold
right,
on, you
that's
gotta
fine.
you gotta let me
I get
you
your
gotta let me answer that question.
I get your examples. You already gave that answer. That's perfect, right? So with that being stated, so you are answering your own question. You said, when is it going to stop, right?
God,
Okay, so if you're asking, when is it going to stop? And I ask you, why is it happening? And then you give me an answer to why it's happening. So why are you asking, when is it going to stop? If you got the reason for why it's happening.
because me and you don't subscribe to the same gods. I think that's.
I'm
I
not,
think. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
I'm not asking that.
I think it's because it's biblical and because of not gonna say religious, but my beliefs in a higher being. You don't believe that same way.
No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm gonna allow you to ask me that same question. But from your level of understanding, right? We're just focusing on you right now. So bear with me. So you believe that the reason that things are happening is because it's a punishment, right? So then you also believe that this punishment should be stopped, right?
No, it shouldn't be stopped.
But you asked me how do we stop this? You asked that.
Yeah, but it
Oh,
shouldn't
hold
be
on. You
stopped.
said the
If
punishment
we
shouldn't
still,
be stopped.
if we're still disobeying our father and not coming home by 11 and still coming home at 2, hell no, that punishment should not stop.
Okay, so
No,
again,
no,
so
you
again,
still
Can I
should be
jump in
getting
real quick?
punished.
so again,
So
so again, hold up real quick, ZTS. So again, the level of self-checking that I'm talking about, it would probably give a resolution to the answer that you're looking for, correct?
Correct.
I honestly don't believe so. Because
Wait,
again,
wait, wait,
hold
wait.
on. Let me land. I have to explain that. That can't be a two-word answer. That's not a two-word answer. I have to explain that. The reason why I say no is because everybody can. If we have a gazillion people in the world and everybody is functioning off of their feelings and their emotions, then we are going to be out of order. Shit is going to be out of
I
order.
agree.
Life is going to be out of order.
That's fine.
We can't and we can't think for ourselves, move
That's
for
fine.
ourselves, and be in our own feelings. But again, that's
Okay.
just my opinion and my belief.
Okay. Now watch what you just did. So what you just did was saying that, okay, in this hand, we're being punished because we went against the laws and statutes and commandments. So now this punishment is being carried out. Then I tell you that, okay, well, maybe we need to check ourselves in order to get relief from this punishment. Then you turn around and tell me that everybody can't check themselves. So with that being stated, so is it a setup from the gate, or what are we talking about?
I'm not saying everybody can't check themselves. What I'm saying is everybody can't. I'm not saying everybody can't check themselves because again, we need laws. We need rules that we have to abide by.
Okay, so
You're
you said you
saying
need to, hold on, wait, wait, hold on,
hold
wait,
on,
wait,
hold on.
wait. You said you what?
You're saying forget those laws. Don't worry about those laws. You're like and I'm gonna take this more of kinder words. You're like the serpent. Surely you won't die. Your father said for y'all to do this, that, and the third, and you say, hey, don't, surely you won't die. Focus on yourself. It's not about your people because y'all gonna get y'all ass whooped. But it's all about you. If it's gonna make it, that's what I'm hearing.
What's the other
Okay.
part of that scripture? You will become like gods. And even God said, you niggas became like gods.
Okay. So can I
Yeah,
introduce
but I still
something?
should have listened.
Wait,
I
wait, wait,
still
wait,
gotta listen,
wait, wait.
but I still gotta listen to what my father told me because again,
Hold on,
yeah,
wait,
I'm
wait, wait.
having. Hold on. Yeah, I'm having fun out here selling dope, and yeah, it looks flashy. It looks you know what I mean. I'm making money and I'm looking good. Yeah, it looks good when I'm worried about myself and I'm not listening to my father. But shit, that shit comes with 10 years too. That shit comes
Okay,
with 20 years in the prison. That shit comes with bullets flying over your head. That shit come with not
okay,
knowing if the nigga that's next to you is out to kill you. That shit come with consequences. And the first person you run to when that shit happens is your father.
that's fine.
And as he's sitting with his feet kicked up, still praying for you.
Okay, that's fine.
You go straight to your father.
Okay, that's
But you
fine.
just told your father to F off. You're not
Right,
listening to him. It's all about me.
right. So
Salakia.
again, the misunderstanding that you're taking from this whole ordeal, right? When we say tap in and do shadow work, that does not mean that you're supposed to go run rampant. Now, if that's what you have to do in order to gain some type of order, then by all means, do what you got to do to get right, right?
What I was saying was a lot of people mind is different. So
Okay,
again,
that's no, okay, that's fine.
hold on. I might think it's gross as fuck to even fuck with a female that's under the age of 24. Some
Right.
grown ass men think that it's cool to fuck with a 14-year-old. So
Okay.
again, who's right and who's wrong? We're both tapped into ourselves. He's finna go touch on that 14-year-old
Shy.
because he's tapped into himself.
So with
That
that
he's
being,
not going about the rules that is placed in front of us. We
that's
both
fine.
know that there is rules. If you do this, or if the you know what I mean, if you take part in this, then this is going to happen to you. And he still chose to take part in of it, and now you know what I mean. But
I
his
get it.
mental said, "Hey, hold on. I thought it was cool. I said it was cool. I
Okay.
didn't see nothing wrong with it."
So again, with that being stated, right? What do you think that you know what you know what I formed thee in the womb was about, and that I created you way before this earth was even created? Do you know what that is?
I've heard that, but I haven't got too deep into that.
And
To
the reason why I'm asking you is because people are going to do what they're going to do, right? Can we agree to that?
come.
Okay. So now let me ask you a critical question, seeing as how you want to go to a mental disorder, right? What is the purpose of having a mental disorder?
I'm not sure if I can. I haven't thought about that, so I can't give you a opinion on that.
Definitely. So with that being stated, again, when it comes down to just us being different fractions of the collective, right? There's going to be different things that we're going to experience, right? Because again, God is infinite, right? So that means anytime it produces something, then those what he produces is going to be infinite possibilities of things, right? Now, as much as we say that this is not me and I can't agree with that, or that's not how I would do it, then you would shun it, right? But at the end of the day, if you understand that all things come from the same source, then you would accept it. Not to say that you would do it, because that's not your bag, but accept things as they are. And hey, you may get you may live a little bit more free. Don't, and I know BTS said this before, don't put yourself into a prison in which you can't get out of. And this is the whole ideology behind Free Your Mind, right? Now, we can try to give somebody, again, information, or we can give somebody information from our perspective. But guess what? My life and your life ain't the same life. So why am I going to play?
So where would I get this information from? Where would I get this information from? Yo, like a couple books. You read? What kind of books are there out there?
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
You said if. It's all good.
Okay, so can I get in? Because I mean, y'all been going.
Shalom,
Yes.
sis.
Hey, shalom.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. So, I've been listening to you guys, and by the way, good debate, good build, right? And I think I can help kind of bridge some gaps, right? To me, to answer your question about how are we going to make this stop, right? I do agree with you. There are things biblically that have to come to pass, right? And when we say biblically, that's still the word of God, right? It is what it is. And I'll reference what Woon said about in the beginning, God knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. So he is Alpha and Omega. He knows all, right? So there is a part of it he already knew in 2023 that we would be live on this and having this conversation, right? But I do love the thing that you said about, okay, if your daddy says to come in at 11 and you don't, there is a punishment, right? And I feel like if we don't know thyself, that is the punishment, right? That is the hell that we're walking in earth. That is what we are doomed to live beneath ourselves, right? We were formed to have dominion, right? And so how do you have dominion if you don't know what's inside of you, right? How to actually have dominion, right? We try to make dominion about our skin color, about our the sex that we are, male or female. We try to make dominion about income, the have and have nots, but there's a greater, more superior way to have dominion. And that is seeking spirituality first, because that is really who you are. You're not your skin color, you're not your sex, you're not your finances, you're not your religion. You are spirit first. You have a spirit being, which is your God being, that will be eternal, right? How, I don't know truly what your belief is, but if people believe in heaven and hell, well, the only thing that lasts forever is God, right? So there's a God being in us that is going to either burn in hell forever or live in heaven forever, right? And so when our bodies fall off into the grave, what is left? That's the God being of us, right? Because we came from God. So to make it all stop, in essence, we do got to do what our daddy said to do, is to close the door and go within right? And spend time with God and get to know your true authentic self, not your skin color, right? You got to know your spirit. Now, once we are tapped with our spirit, now we have a God purpose life, right? And that's what the disciples, I come from a Christian background, that was the inner teachings that God sent uh, out for the disciples to spread, right? Because then we're not talking about skin color, we're not talking about money, we're not talking about anything other than spirit. And that's how you're going to stop. We can have truly heaven on earth because the kingdom of God is within and it's now, not in the afterlife. There is an afterlife, but I thought we were supposed to have dominion on earth, or am I wrong? Like, did that make sense?
No, Earth is a part of Earth is a heaven too. The Bible describes Earth as a heaven. Uh, well, yeah, no, I hear you, sis.
Yeah.
Talk that talk.
Yeah. So it's like, this is the part where, um, we have to not get caught up in the distraction of the skin color and the social economic stuff. It matters. Like, it's hard to not see the pain, right? And that's why they say God knows our pain, right? But we have to be able to rise above that. And the only way to rise above it is to go inwards and tap into the ultimate source. Once we tap into that ultimate source and we slow down and we're able to teach people how to get to that, then you know what I mean, it's truly a more enjoyable heaven on earth. Or when people do tap into that side of themselves, that's why they don't have a care in the world. Listen, there's nothing that somebody can do to me that's going to make me step outside of myself because I'm in tune with the God being in me, right? And so that's how I approach everybody. Even if somebody does me wrong, just like in the Bible says, forgive them for they don't know what they do, right? I can't even get mad at you because you're at a certain level of ignorance, and that's okay. And I'm supposed to have mercy and grace upon you just as God has upon me, right? So we have to be images of God, like for real on earth. That's how we're going to make it stop. But if we continue to get caught up in the cycle of skin color, what your job is, this, that, and the third, we will never get out of the curse, right? That's not coming home. So coming home is to start tapping in, and getting into that relationship or that God being within ourselves. And then that's what we represent. That is a true witness to what God is and the power that he possesses and all the fruits of your labor. And like we said, then all of those things will be added to you because guess what? You have control of them. Money is not going to be an issue because money flows through and out you because you have dominion. You're not going to have to worry about where you stay, right? Because everywhere you go, you're going to have a place to lay your head, right? Because they see the presence of God in you. And that's the problem. We just don't slow down and say, hey, I want to teach you how to get in contact with the God in you, right? Because when you do that, that's when you're really free. That's really freedom. You know what I'm saying?
I think that if we're going to say that that we put ourselves in God mode, right? One of the things that God grants for people to live is free will, right? So if I'm trying to teach somebody something, it may be against their free will. So I have to let them be who they are. And until they're ready to come into where it's at, then I can, I can only be who I am. And I know this is probably going to answer your question that you asked me earlier, Shai, because it's just like, well, how do other people? Well, people have free will. So as a God, you have to let them people go through what they go through in order to when they come to whatever crossroads or that fork in the road may come, then they come to you. They say, "Hey, Shai, hey, I've been seeing that you've been in your God stance, nigga. What's the wooty wop, right?" But as soon as they come to you, you already know what level that they're at. So then they're being open at this point in time to say, "Hey, guess what? It's up right now. So let's figure this shit out." Like, you know what I mean? And I think that a lot of the times, going back to the race of things, when we say, well, black people should be doing this or we need to be doing that or such and such and such, it's like, nah, let this shit play out as it plays out. Let it run its course, and then when the people that's ready, just like I said, it's gonna be the first fruits. When the first fruits is ready, okay, yes sir. And then the next batch gonna come. Then the next batch gonna come, but by then I'm gonna be in a whole different existence. Like, you know what I mean? So then, you know, this torch get passed and it get passed and it get passed, and you know that's just how things work. And even though we may be passionate about our people that have certain experiences, or people that we may be more familiar with on a humanistic scale, but at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, I wish that I can bring certain people into the state of mind that I'm at right now. But guess what? If I give it to you, then you ain't even gonna understand what it is, right? I don't like what. There's no cheat sheet to this shit. You really have to do the work. So it's just like if I gave you the answers and then I test you, then you're gonna be like, nigga, well, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not yeah, because nigga, I got a whole different test. I gave you these answers for that test. This is a whole different thing. So now it's just like, now how are you going to go? So it's just like, oh yeah, so now you can't give it to me. I can't give this.
I got a question for the sis. I got a question for sis.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, sis, are you still a Christian right now?
I'm like yes and no, right? I'm still Bible based. I don't.
You still subscribe to the Bible?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
You follow the God of the Hebrews? Which God do you follow?
God of all, the creator. So here's the thing, right? When I say that, right, I know it's kind of like, okay, which God is that, right? We try to pull and have a divisive, I feel like, thing about whose God is who, right? If to answer it in a biblical sense, I'm talking about, you know, Jesus of Nazareth, you know, path, right? That point to God, right? I follow that path to the ultimate Father, that is Alpha and Omega, if that makes sense. So I don't like to say under a particular thing, because it's greater than that. Does that make sense to you?
That makes perfect sense. And you read the Bible, you read scriptures.
Yes, I do. Yeah, and I'm gonna ask you a question like that I asked one. Well, one said he didn't read the Bible. The other dude said he did. What did you get from the Bible as reading the? I mean, how is that? Who's that about? Who are they talking to in that Bible? Like, what are you getting from it? Well, I mean, I think it's a message for the people. I think the Bible was used as a tool, right? As a collective of stories, right? Where, you know, there's things that are here to guide us, right? But it is not the only way, right? In the sense, when I say the only way, if you haven't read the Bible, God will appear to you, you know, in the middle of nowhere. So he's not limited to the text, right? Because before the text was here, he was here, right? He was able, and, you know, as they were living out the Bible, he was doing acts, right? So I don't limit it to the book that finally came to, you know, fruition in a collection, right? So, so
in all those books and all of those books and all of those stories and all of those messages, it's talking about a particular people. I say that to say this,
and I agree.
I believe in. So, what happened to his covenant with those people? Because you said it's not about, and again, when you say skin color, I'll take it as it's not about your race or your nationality, you know, type of people. His love is for all and everybody. But in the Bible, it's in every book of the Bible, they're talking about a specific people.
Correct. And I agree with the text, right? But at the same time, there were other people in other parts of the world that this Bible or that God also loves, right? So there are important things that you can talk about that happened in that section of the world, right? But there were other people present in other places at the same time that this was taking place, right? So I do believe you know what I mean, that there was things happening as far as the curses or the things that were being done. But this is why I'm saying this is the gap. We didn't, like you said, we didn't do what our Father said to do, right? If we are a chosen people, and now because you are hard headed, now you have to go about doing it this way, right? Now, the Bible also talks about when those days are over, right? And what must be done in order to get back into it. The thing is, where those chosen people or those people that are supposed to rise are choosing to stay asleep, right? They are having an opportunity to start digging into the word, right? And know the word for themselves. And the Bible is always multifaceted, right? It's layered. Know the word for themselves. So we can use the word as God, right? So know God for yourself, right? So the scriptures are going to help get you to that, but this is why you must be in deep Bible study. And people right now ain't got time. Bible study is I'm gonna read 2 or 3 verses and not really dig into the text. They're not breaking down words. They're not going back to the Hebrew versions of it or Latin or Greek or whatever these words will be. They're not really knowing the word, right? So that's an issue. You got to get back to the origin. What is it that we are supposed to be doing?
And that's what brings me back to what I was to me landing this plane, because you said it's not about race or skin color. It is about race. It's all about race. It's all about skin color. It's all about your nationality. The whole Bible speaks of that. Yes, there's other nations that's supposed to get different blessings, and that he feels a certain way for. This other nation that's supposed to serve other gods and do their thing through this God here. But the Hebrews are supposed, and the Israelites, should I say, not only the Hebrews, because reality is the white man's a Hebrew too. He is
Hey,
from
right
Abraham.
there, Shy, right
He's
there.
from
I love
Abraham. That's
I
the
want to.
reality of it. I mean,
Hold on.
Isaac. He's from
And it,
Isaac.
I love that you
no,
say that, right? Because
hold
if we're
on,
talking about
Woon.
if huh?
I said no. Let him finish because I think I do want
Yeah,
to answer.
Oh no,
Then
I
because
was just gonna ask him if he was just familiar with
it is all about race. Not saying that everybody doesn't get the same. What I am saying that everybody don't get the same blessing. Everybody don't get the same salvation. Everybody has their own gods. The Most High God, our Creator, chose a certain people to be above all. That's Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6, one of my favorite verses. But again, it is about skin color, it is about race, it is about nationality. And when everybody accepts that and start doing what their father is telling them to do, because again, the rules that I have for my kids I can't have to my neighbor's kids. My son has to be at home at 11, but Jonathan doesn't. But that's
right.
on him. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That's on Jonathan and his parents. His God has to deal with that. But
Okay. So
but you
I
gonna have your ass here at 11.
Okay, so let me answer that, and that's why I say the Bible is multifaceted, right? Because during a time period at a certain location, right, those people are chosen people, right? And that's why for me, I like that Woon asked, do you believe in, God knew us before we were yet formed in our mother's womb, right? So meaning he already knew there were a chosen class of people, right? I believe I'm one of those chosen ones, right? I'm one of the warriors that are here to fight or as a guide to bring you closer to your God being. You my brother, you know what I mean? And I'm your sister. So I have to, when I see you in the trenches, just like a daddy, if you in a club and you 16 years old and your auntie see you, what's your auntie gonna say? Get your motherfucking ass out this club and go home, right? So if I see you and you are looking at the world in a skin-based thing, I'm gonna say, yo, I see you, right? But understand, right, that's not it. It is it because of the period of time and the people that he was talking to. But let's take it a step further. If you took away their skin, right, and all their bones, the essence of the person, who is that? Right? And so when I say it's not, it is I get you. It's multifaceted. So yes, during that time, and we'll say the Hebrews, but again, when that skin and bone passes away, the spirit that's within, those were chosen spirits. Those were chosen vessels, right? So they just happen to live in this time period during this, this time period, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm saying if we elevate our thought just a little bit, we'll be able to see. Just like when Jesus died, he rose. Well, I don't believe that it was the skin color that was able to be seen, right? It's not that we're going to have that. It was the God being the energy behind that. So I feel like, again, yes, those are those people, but we have to take the skin off, if we will. That's like secondary. We have to start saying spiritually, these are my brothers and sisters in Christ, or in the spirit. And so these chosen people that were supposed to fight the army, right, the squad, chose to just sit down and take a vacation. So you know what, you on timeout, right? But then there are others that say, okay, all right, I got the message. Let me go get my brothers and sisters. Let's go get the squad back, right? And now we have to teach you, hey, bro, it ain't about the skin, right? Yeah, these group of people in this particular bloodline or this energy, yes. So that's why I said I agree with you. But we got to take it to the beginning and the alpha, right? Our energy source. Those are those people. Like, does that make
Well,
sense?
even in the military rank, it's about skin color. I'm not saying skin color. Hold on. I'm just saying skin color in the aspect of, hey, lieutenants wear this, generals wear this. These are their rules. This is the rules for the sheriff. This is the rules for the judge. These are the rules for them. These are the rules for the
That's a fact.
Hebrew.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Okay, so cool. So then
Hey,
I'll give you, if you want a skin color, I'll give it to you.
hey,
It's it's light. It's white, right? It's energy, right? That is how we identify as the brighter light that's within. Those are the people that I'm talking to. Like, do you get what I'm saying? If
yeah,
we have to
No,
do it,
I understand. I understand. I understand completely what you're saying, sis.
hey, so we got Goddess Divine. She in this motherfucker cutting up. But and this is a question that I want to see your perspective on too, Shy. She said, what makes them chosen? Is it their blood, the land that they were born on, the language they speak, the clothes they wear, their names? Like, so how do we determine the chosen one? Are we just talking about uh scripture at this point?
Yeah, we're talking about, in my eyes, we're talking about scripture, and I don't know the exact scripture, but it was, I think, in a nutshell, it was saying, I didn't choose you because you are many, but I chose you because you are few. Or there is a reason why he say, I chose you.
Got you.
I
Okay,
just don't know the scripture off top.
got you.
yeah, there's a couple of places, and they talk about that in Revelations, that many are called and the chosen are few, right? There are chosen individual spirits, however you want to identify, that are a part of the fight. Like, as you would say in military terms, there's sergeants, there's lieutenants, there's captains. There are people and spirits that are involved in this. And again, you got to understand, so if God said in the beginning, right, that he knew all of this was going to come to pass, right? He knew us at the moment of creation and was able to form this world, aka having a script. And that's a whole nother conversation, right? Because Revelations is talking about what's really happening, right? There's when the seven scrolls are cracked and kind of what's revealed and what's happening. There are going to be chosen people. There are going to be people that are forever lost, that will never come into the fullness and awareness of their being, because that actually is divine order. And some
Woon, do
people,
you believe that?
yes, I do believe that, in the sense
No,
of,
no, Woon, do you believe that? Because she just came from a biblical aspect. Do you believe that part of the Bible?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. What was the question?
She just gave you her aspect, and it came from a biblical standpoint. But you don't really subscribe to the Bible like that.
Let me sorry, let me say this because I think I said it enough times and then you probably tell me this, right? So when you say that I don't subscribe to the Bible, right? I don't pick up the Bible and read it every day, right?
Right.
So with that being stated, that does not mean that I cannot use the Bible to relay messages, right? So I would tell you that I don't subscribe to the Bible because just like I don't subscribe to Playboy, meaning that I don't need to subscribe to it and to enjoy it. So if somebody give me a Playboy magazine, I don't have subscriptions for it, but nigga, guess what? This motherfucker's lit, right? So with that being stated, it's just like I don't need to subscribe to it in order for me to get what's in there, right? So I just want to make that real clear. But ultimately, it seems like what she's saying is is pretty much to the point, right? Like if I look at this book, right? The chosen.
So there's your answer right there. There's your answer right there.
Wait, watch this. The chosen ones are the ones who have chosen, right? And I'm gonna say that again. The ones who have chosen, not who were chosen, but who have chosen. Chosen to do what though? Chosen to do the work, right? Because a lot of people, regardless to what it looks like, they like, nigga, I ain't gonna go through all that. Like, nah, it's too much work. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just, receive it however it comes, right? And if that's your job, if that's your path, that's absolutely fine. But there are people who are putting in the work, aka that's why they are able to bring it to other people. Just like you may be the head of your household, that means you're choosing to put yourself in a position to provide for whoever that's in your household, right? So you're the chosen one. You're the one that has chosen to put yourself in that position, right? And we have to understand that. And I'm not only saying that from an understanding to where people you could just say that you're the one that's chosen, but it's going to show. You're going to know them by their fruits, right? And just like I said, the work that you put in, you're going to see the fruits of your labor, right? So with that being stated, if you're choosing to do the work, then you're the one who has chosen to do the work. And it's just that simple. And I don't think that when we get to playing games like, okay, well, nigga, for whatever reason, and this is what God is Divine was asking, like, well, nigga, well, how do we determine who's chosen? Like, you know what I mean? So then you'll know them by the fruits of their labor. Nigga, they're kicking up dust. They're out here doing the shadow work. They're out here battling all types of different shit and then accepting what's going on. When you see them niggas put in that work, that's how you gain OG status. You just ain't under boss man and you just gonna be like, nah, nigga, what work did you put in to become an OG? Like, you feel me? You was out putting in work. That's why you get to call yourself the OG. Now we could say we chose this nigga to be our OG, but nah, that nigga chose to do it on his own because that nigga chose to put in work. Simple as that.
Right. And let me clarify something too, because I know sometimes people get they feel some kind of way hearing about the many are called and chosen are few, right? The Bible also talks about kingdoms in heaven, right? There is going to be mansions, and there are going to be certain things, right? Basically, there's going to still be a hierarchy, if you will, in church, or I mean, not in church, in this afterlife. So people that are saved or come to know Christ or God or whoever, right? There's still a place for that, right? But there's a difference being called and chosen, or chosen, like you said, when to kind of do the work, right? Because those are disciples or people that are going out and really are willing to die for it, right? In a sense of really pushing it, really are part of the executive board, if you will, if that makes sense. But it's not that if you don't feel chosen or you're not doing the shadow work, that you're not going to be in the kingdom or in the family. There's just different
Well,
positions.
how do you know what work to put in if you're not reading about the work you're supposed to put in? I know this is how I know you're going to show your work. Sis, I'm gonna let you land your plane, but God is divine. Pull up Deuteronomy 28. Go from 15 to 68. Pull that up.
Hey,
This is how you show the words.
I know you want to respond to that, Shy. I saw you reading it, right?
This how
Hey,
you
Yeah,
respond. This is how you
go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
This is how you see the works. This is how you know who those people are. Because of Deuteronomy, let's start Deuteronomy 28 and 1. It tells you, hey, it's like you're gonna tell your kid, hey man, if you get good grades, you do what I'm telling you to do, you
Right.
do this, that, and the third, you know what I mean? You can have whatever. I'll get you that Tesla at 16. You can stay out till 1. You know what I mean? You can get that new Nuki thing, but you gotta be on top of your game.
I fuck
Now
with
if you
that.
don't listen to me, where it starts in chapter in verse 15, if you don't listen to me, nigga, not only are you not getting a Tesla, but nigga, I'm taking you off my Uber account. Nigga, not only is you not going, not only is your curfew 11 Saturday, but you might not even be able to go out. You might have to stay in the house and do chores on Saturday if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So
Hey,
God
right
is
there.
divine. Go ahead and bring that up.
Right there.
And
Right there, Shy.
we fit all of everything that he said. If you don't listen to me, this is gonna happen. All of
Shy.
that stuff happened to us. That's how
Shy.
you see the works.
Hey, Shy, you just now said it, right? And I'm a connect what you just now said. You said you might not even be able to go out, right? So when you are grounded, you are grounded, right? So
Mhm.
you're staying within, right? So that means that you're still, by whatever way, you still have to go in. So it's either you're going to go in from the beginning or you have to go through some type of whatever you have to go through in order to be faced back to your motherfucking self, regardless to how it goes. And that's what I'm saying. I didn't even know about that part of the scripture of the Bible. And again, I agree with it because it makes sense. When people say, oh, well, I got grounded, like it's not a punishment. People tend to say punishment and grounding is two different, it's different. Being grounded is being grounded, right? So
Right.
when you can't go outside and you can't go out, what are you doing? You're going within. Think about what you did, right? Think about it. Go into yourself and think about it. It's not a punishment. It's actually something that's going to liberate you, right?
Right.
So
The
this is
loss
why
ain't a loss, it's a lesson.
that's a fact.
Appreciate the pain, it's a blessing.
It's a blessing. That's why I agree with the Bible. I don't not knock the Bible, right? But ultimately, where we was at, we're just saying like so I believe that everybody has that capability to go within and bring out certain things. And the more that we get to go around different people, our reflections, then ultimately they're going to refer us back to ourselves, right? This is the story of the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy thought that this grand wizard was going to save her, but guess what? She had to close her eyes, click her heels 3 times, and then she had to bring herself home. There's no grand wizard that can do that. You got to do the work. You feel me? So at the end of
Right.
the day, like you know what I mean. That's what it comes down to. And again, I think the Bible is dope on that level because for the people who may not uh get it from a certain just living life and being able to internalize what's going on, just like you mentioned earlier, Shaw, like some people aren't built for that, for that internal work, probably on a solo mission, probably getting it from somebody else. But the Bible is a tool that's used for the people who may need it. And that's absolutely fine. Like, you know what I mean? But I still think that it's not, I mean, we can say it's about race, and that's absolutely fine if that's what makes people happy at the end of the day. But I think that anybody could do the work that's being referred to in the book. You understand it from that perspective?
I was reading that comment. Say that again.
Oh no, I'm just saying like so the source of information is out there, right? So even though you can say that it may be talking to a certain demographic of people, that's absolutely fine. But what if those rules fall into somebody's hands who's trying to get that same level of understanding, right? Are they incapable of living according to what those rules do? Can they apply those rules to them, or is it just so cutthroat that they can't even receive what's being said, right?
Is that a
Or they just
question?
like, no, I'm just saying. It's a question, but it's a rhetorical question, right? So I'm saying, so I'm ultimately saying, like, even though you say that it can be about race, I'm not gonna take that away from you. But there may be somebody from a different race that may pick it up and think it's also about race, and then say, well, if it's good for this race, then shit, I'm gonna try it too, and it may work for them.
Well, it happens. It's going on right now. It's going on right now. If you are reading the scriptures and you're from another race, then you'll say, okay, well, this is supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen for these people. Now we understand who we are, and once we start playing our part and you know what's going on, then everything will be back in order. But right now everything is out of order. It's even worse. It's even getting worse. And again, I see my guy don't want to bring up the scriptures because
Oh no,
cuts sometimes.
Goddess Divine is a female.
Apologies.
Oh no, I know you don't know. That's why I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Ms. Divine, are you able to come on? Are you? Can you?
Yeah,
Can
go
you
to the
join it?
go to the
Yeah. I just think that it is about your race and nationality to know who you are. It has to be that, because all of our customs aren't the same. All of our gods aren't the same. All of our foods aren't the same. All of our clothing that we wear is not the same. Our style's not the same. And I get it when they try and look like us, dress like us, walk like us, talk like us, and even trying to take our God. I understand that, because that's just who we are. We are the light to the people. You know what I mean? We are supposed to be the light to the people. They are supposed to cleave to us. But when they tend to do that, we call them a culture vulture. You know what I mean? Because again, they're taking our culture, but it seems like we want to fit into their culture and have them get the same salvation as us.
We don't. We
We
don't
can't.
have. What is our culture?
well, hold
Our
on.
real culture.
No, I'm just saying. What is our culture, and how would
Well,
you describe our culture?
right now, or then.
At any time, what is our culture?
Right now, again, we got the swagger, we got the look, we got the walk, we got the talk, we got the clothes, we got the music, we got the language, we got the food, we got that's when all of us got it, but again. When you think of certain things, but again, when you think of certain things, you think of Negroes, black people. You know what I mean? There's certain things that happens, or when you look at somebody, you say, "Hey, we relate that to black people."
Yeah,
The same thing as white. That's the same thing as white. Oh, you're acting white. That's the same thing. Or you're acting like this. You're acting like that. Everybody has this culture.
So you think that that what's popular and what's emulated dictates culture, or are you just saying that they're not supposed to do what they see?
Both.
And
Because the Chinaman is laughing at America right now. The Jamaican is laughing at America right now. The Russian is laughing at America right now. Why? Because we are over here debating if a boy is a girl and is a girl a boy. We are allowing this. They are laughing at us about this. So it is about culture, because again, they're laughing at Americans. They're laughing at our culture over here. So a little bit of both.
So everything that you just now said, I think is worldwide for real.
Hell no, that shit is not accepted. That shit is not accepted in certain places. Only
Yeah.
that shit is not
That's the
accepted.
part right there. It's not accepted, right? That does not mean that it does not go on. It's just not accepted, right? So with that being stated, that's why the black American is ostracized in both ways. This nigga's a criminal, this nigga's a thug, this nigga's a murderer, he's a thief, he's all the other shit. But guess what? This nigga sells the most records, this nigga's the coolest nigga. So within this United States, right? They call this shit the melting pot for a reason because we got a whole bunch of different things. Now we're talking about now what you're saying, and I know I asked you what is culture, and you're referring to the now culture, so I'm not gonna hold that against you. But what was the then culture, right? Because if we're talking about the Black American culture, we're not even talking about our own culture. So I'm asking you, you gave me that aspect. So what is our original culture?
Our original culture was a celebration, the Feast of Dedications. Our original culture was really resting on the Sabbath. Our culture was not touching the swine. Our culture was not killing our brother. Our culture was multiple wives. Our culture was two parent homes. Our culture was the man provided for the woman in the family, and she tended to the kids. That was part of our culture. The man did the manly things, and the women did the womanly things. Now the woman, again, she don't need no man. She don't even want to be a wife. A lot of these women don't even want to be parents.
So when you look at culture being changed or culture being shifted, do you think that there is a purpose behind that, behind the change?
Yes, especially here in America, it is to again have everybody believing that they are free and they can do whatever they want. If you want to call yourself a girly boy, then you can. We all have to follow it.
Let's observe that. Do we not have free will?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure the point of that.
I'll say this, back to your point about race, right? I'll concede in a certain sense. Because I think I had this conversation with somebody or maybe on the panel before. Since you're familiar with the word, right? And they talk about the few are called and chosen a few, right? And then we're talking about the scrolls and we're talking about the 144, right? And then when we start talking about those 12 tribes, and there is a purpose for genealogy, if you want to talk about race, so it just kind of depends on where you want to go with this. So I want you to understand, I understand what you mean, right? That was the reason why each person and their tribes and how many and who, what, it was described in the Bible, right? One thing that I think that we don't think of enough, right? We think about finding out about our ancestors, right? We go to ancestry.com or what's the other one, the African one or the Black ancestry, right? And we find out where we are from, but again, I don't know about you, I've traced my ancestors back to the early 1600s, right? But, and I have a PDF with just about everybody that we could put in there. And that's dope to have, right? But I had this thought one day of, so who were my ancestors when Jesus walked the earth, right? So if we're going to talk that part, I can understand that, right? So if generationally, our greats were a part of the original disciples, right, or whatever, or that race of the Hebrews of the people, in that sense, those families should be alive today, right? Outside of those that obviously were killed and didn't have kids, but somewhere in your genealogy, you should be able to track it back, right? Even though it's probably impossible. So from a standpoint of race on that part is the part where I'll concede in that sense of our race within the earth. But spiritually, it's the same spirit, right? That is just present for every generation until, the end of time. This is going to be the choice. You're going to make a choice, and some people in your family they're going to step out of it. They're not going to believe, right? So it may skip a generation or two or whatever the case may be. So on that side of it, I can understand where you are saying about the race, right? Because I still feel that everybody in my family and everybody connected to me in that regard, we was all chosen, We were all chosen in that, standpoint. And so for me, I'm just a descendant of that, right? But I also understand that I also was here when God said, let there be light. So that means I'm coming from the ultimate image, which is, if you write that out and you spell it phonetically, is I am gene, right? I'm coming from the I am gene image, right? So that is my true genealogy spiritually. You know what I mean? I just come in a different form materialistically. So I did want to just kind of bridge that gap, if that made sense.
Oh, good. Sister got bars.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. You too. I learned a lot. Like, I love having these builds because this is what it's about, right? We can't get to know our true self if we're not afraid to have discussion, right? And it doesn't have to be I'm right, you're wrong, but I know the Bible does say, right, or God says you'll know the truth when you hear it, right? So I don't have to fight, right? I could just speak to you, and there's times when I agree, like what Woon will say sometimes, that okay, yeah, you got to let people do their thing, right? And when they're ready, they'll come to you. I agree. But I also agree, just like I said, if I'm an auntie, or if I'm your folks, or I know anybody of your folks and I see you in the street doing dirt, oh, I'm gonna speak to you and be like, you know better. Go ahead and
Right,
go
but
home.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like the energy shift, because now Auntie feel like she a snitch. So Auntie might come to you and say, hey, man, you better get your butt up out of here. But it's gonna be me and your secret. Auntie ain't gonna go do the right thing and call her sis and be like, oh, man, I seen whoop whoop up in here and she doing this, that, and the third. Auntie don't want to be labeled as a snitch. So she keeping it to herself. That's another thing. It's not taking that village to raise the kids no more. This is a shot at the same time because everybody's so focused on themselves.
Yeah, there is some of that, right?
Shots
But there's,
fired.
yeah, I feel you. There are, some people that keep secrets in the family, but that again, I think when you're approaching that person, there's a certain amount of authority, just like when the prostitute came and was getting the water, right? I'm saying she felt a certain kind of way, but God was able to speak to her in a language that she understand and say, hey, I'm saying, I'm real, so turn from your ways, right? When we
Perfect. Because even then it was about race. Because she like, hold on. We ain't supposed to be rocking. You ain't supposed to be talking to me. And he like, hold on. Well, what's about to happen? You're going to have to hear it anyway. What I'm about to spit to the people, you're going to have to hear it anyway. So, you know what
So
I mean? So,
ultimately
again,
it's
a
not
perfect
though.
story on it is about race. Because she even get at him like, hold on. Ain't you? Nigga, you ain't supposed to be talking to me.
Exactly. But at the same time, that's where we have to start sometimes, right? God is gonna meet you where you at. But she had an elevated thought. He said, yeah, I know we ain't supposed to be talking, but he read her whole script, right? And so
Yeah.
now that was null and void. That became irrelevant. It is now rise and go do what you're supposed to do and go tell people, right? And turn from your ways. So from that point, it was, yes, the initial conversation was like, who are you? But that's our problem. We call ourselves chosen, but we can't speak. We can't have dominion. We can't break it down and tell you it's not about race. Yeah, we can start there, but then I can lead you down the road to say, hey, nah, this is about you doing, what I'm saying, living in your God truth. And your God truth is not limited to the color of your skin. We may start there, but that's not your higher self or your superior being.
Hey, let me answer that real quick too. A grand part of my journey was on some what Selfmade would call bliggity black shit, right? And they put it, in the movie CB4. If y'all familiar with CB4, he's like, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm bliggity black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker like black. And so, so it's just an emphasis on, we don't need to put that much. We don't need to, where is that going to get us ultimately and shit, right? And it again, for me, it was a part of the process, right? It's just like, okay, yeah, so where it's at. But did that liberate me from spiritually, right? Did that put me at a place to say, hey, you want to know what? Yeah, I'm gonna claim this black shit, and then that's just it, right? So when we do that, it's just like saying, do you think that God is black? You understand what I'm trying to say? So you think that God is black? That was rhetorical, but do you think that God is black?
For sure.
So you think that God, what? All right, because now we're not just talking about the color of the skin. I know that you know that, but so when you say that God is black, can you describe that to me? What that looks like?
Well, just like you and me, he said he made us in his image.
No, I mean, that can go a lot of different ways. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of what you think that God is black means for real. Like, you mean like literally, physically black?
Well, we can't use the word literally and physically because I don't believe that the nationality or race black exists.
I understand that. So, but I asked you, do you think that God is black? So I'm just trying to get an understanding of what this black God looks like.
I think black God looks like us and we're looking like him in his image. I do agree with what you're saying also that ye are gods also, but we are formed in his and created in his image, so he looks just like you and I.
So God has a physical body. Is that what
For
you're
sure.
saying?
For sure.
God has a physical body?
For sure.
All right. So what is God?
Let me further go into that.
Go ahead.
Again, even when Moses said, "Hey man, let me see your face," he told Moses, "No, I won't show you my face. You can see my back." He said, "No man has looked in my face and lived and seen the glory of my face and lived. You can see my back." Which clearly means he has a back, and just like we do in our again, because everybody's saying he's a spirit, and we don't know what he looked like. We know exactly. We know.
When Jacob became Israel,
he also has to have a body. He also has to have a.
When Jacob became Israel, did he say that he seen the face of God?
Yes, he did. He said no. He didn't say he seen the face of God. He said he came face to face with God, and his life was preserved. So all that doctrine of and that's why I say I don't believe in all that.
Wait, what's face to face? Is
God.
Face to face?
Yeah. Did you freeze?
So he had his eyes closed when he was face to face with God.
He did. It was. Now I don't know. I don't know if he had his eyes closed. I don't know that.
Let me pull up that because I think even in the King James version, it says, "I named this place the land of Peniel because I've seen the face of God." Does it say that?
And my life was preserved. Yeah, but
so it says, wait. So it says, "I've seen the face of God."
Yes, he seen God face. The face of God.
Okay, so you just now said that another scripture said that no man has seen the face of God and lived, right?
Yes, this is what he told Moses. But I also say the same thing. Well, that's slight way off because Jacob / Israel said, "No, nigga, I seen God face to face, and that's why my life was changed. That's why my name was changed to Israel, because I seen God face to face, and my life was preserved for sure."
So which one did you believe?
I believe in both of them.
So no man has seen the face of God and lived, but then Jacob is still, or Israel is still alive?
Again, there has to be something in there that's not connecting to me, but I believe in both of them.
Thank you, sir. That's
okay, hold on. So
I don't have the answers to everything. I never thought of I haven't again. I thought of that, but I'm going with both of them because again, what he said was I think the scripture says and standing in the midst. So they might not have locked eyes or no shit like that. So, but what he's telling Moses is, yeah, they might not have locked eyes. He probably just seen him because what he said was he thought it was Esau. So again, he couldn't have seen this person and actually know who it is because he thought it was Esau. That's why he rushed him. So again, it might be different or something.
Regardless to who he thought it was, if he said that he's seen the face of God and that's what converted him from Jacob to Israel, then he's seen the face of God. And
this is just my opinion. It's just my opinion.
No,
I'm not
saying that you're wrong. I'm just
and
bridging the gap.
And again, he didn't even specifically say if he looked him in his eyes, if any of that, because he still thought that was his brother Esau. Hold on.
Face of God.
So again, why is he still wrestling with him, thinking that it's his brother, if he understood that was God?
Okay. So
now again, I believe both of them.
You're saying from his perspective, he may not have known at the time, but then after he found out, nigga, that was God. Again. Yeah. So again, regardless to how we want to twist and flip it, he's still seeing the face of God at the end of the day. And
what do you believe? What do you believe?
Thank you. I just want you to ask me that, shot. So with that being stated, when it comes down to what you're saying is a physical thing, right? You know, we can say that you're absolutely correct. Like if you think that God has like physical attributes, and you know is a man, then and
what do you believe?
Oh, wait.
Don't go off of my belief. I'm asking you what you believe.
I agree with you because God is a man and has physical attributes. You see me? That's me. So I agree with you, Shy. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm here to agree with you. I'm only bridging the gap, right? But with that being stated,
so Moses was full of shit. Because if you are the same God that you're comparing yourself to, I'm seeing you eye to eye. So Moses' statement will be false because I'm seeing God to eye, and my life is being preserved. So to say I've never seen God or no one ever seen God and has lived, if you are God, I'm looking at you right now and my life has been preserved. So that would be a lie and a contradiction.
Okay, yeah. So with that being stated, right? So so you're saying that Moses shit now is out the window, right? Or you saying that's what I'm saying?
No, I'm not saying Moses. I said I believe it that what Moses said.
That's cool. That's fine. So with that being stated, if there is a both answer, right? I'm not saying either one is right over the other one. But what I'm saying is now we have to be critical thinkers and dissect the information that's being related to us within these scriptures, right? So with that being said, with that being stated now, because I was going to ask you to bring up the scripture so we can read it all together verbatim. If I have the time to do it, I don't know if anybody else wants to do it, but if we
go ahead, bring it up.
Yeah, if we do that, then we get the opportunity to maybe get a broader perspective or a different perspective of understanding of why that word was stated, right?
John, this is what I think. This is my interpretation of that story. Jacob was already afraid of his brother. He thought Esau was coming to kill him.
We're not talking about Jacob. We're talking about what you say. Who you say? Moses?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought we was talking about Jacob saying he saw God and was preserved.
Yeah, that's easy. But we're talking about Moses at this point.
Well, no, again, because again, the Most High told Moses, no one seen my face and lived. Now that still might be correct.
What scripture is that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure off top.
Can we get that pulled up? But now you got it.
And if somebody can pull that up.
Yeah, I will. Hold on.
I will, but I'm on my phone.
Let me see.
And the reason why I want to do that is because it's similar to the Garden of Eden story that says you won't die when this shit pop, but you will be like gods. But then, you know, somebody says you surely will die and whatever. And both them motherfuckers was right. So let's see what's really being stated. Because,
and I haven't.
When you ate from this tree of knowledge of good and evil, a part of you is going to die. You, as you know, you are died. It's a wrap already, right? As soon as you gain knowledge, that old you is out of there because you no longer live in that space, right? That old Woon, like how people say, hey, that old me, I don't even deal with my old me. That nigga's dead and gone. So I get that. Becoming like guys is just like saying, well, I got the information now, so it's lit. So both of them are right. So I'm not gonna say that it's a contradiction.
I need a bathroom break right quick. I need a bathroom break.
No, do your thing.
All right, so it is Exodus 33, and it starts in verse. What?
I'm getting into my Israel bag. They be like, bring it out.
Right. 33 starts at verse 18 all the way to the end of 23. So I don't know if somebody wants to type that in. Exodus 33 verse 18 through 20.
Just read it. Says you good.
Okay, so it says, then Moses said, please show me your glory. And God said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you, for I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show compassion and loving kindness on whom I show compassion. Verse 20, but he said, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live. Then the Lord said, behold, there is a place beside me, and you shall stand there on a rock. And while my glory is passing by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock and protectively cover you with my hand until I have passed by. 23.
Already heard enough. And I thought, this is why I had the scripture pulled up, because what I thought that the scripture said, you just now proved that it said what I thought it said, right?
Yeah.
So it says no.
I don't know. I didn't hear it. What did it say?
Go ahead, run it back real quick, Benet, and then I'm gonna respond to it. Go ahead.
Okay. So do you want me to start at 18 from like verse 20?
You can start. You can just read it how you just not read it.
Okay, so start Exodus 33, verse 18 through 23. Then Moses said, please show me your glory, aka your face. And God said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. For I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show compassion on whom I will show compassion. Verse 20. But he said, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live. Verse 21, then the Lord said, behold, there is a place beside me, and you shall stand there on the rock. And while my glory is passing by, or my face is passing by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock and protectively cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Verse 23, then I will take away my hand, and you will see my back, but my face shall not be seen.
Easy
okay,
work.
Two things.
Wait,
so he has a face and he has a back.
That's cool. Easy work. So just like I was saying with the eating of the forbidden fruit, right? If you eat from this shit, you're surely going to die, right? If you see my face, you're surely going to be out of here, because can't no man see my face and still live. We understand that, right? So you also become like gods when you eat from this tree of knowledge and good and evil. Let's take that into Jacob turning into who? To what? To fucking Israel, right? Jacob died. The man Jacob out of there, right? That the man, no man has seen my face, right? And live. No man. Fuck this shit that we're talking about on some physical type of time. The spiritual understanding of what Israel represents can be alongside me, right? Because that's where it's at right now. There's no, that nigga Jacob is dead. It's a wrap for him. right? So with that being stated, the only thing you got to do is to understand the fucking caterpillar turning into the butterfly. It's that simple, right? So with that being stated, it's just like, yeah, nigga, can't no butterfly, nigga surpass this cocoon, right? I'm sorry, can't no cat. Did I say caterpillar? Yeah, can't no caterpillar surpass this cocoon. You're fucking right. Because guess why? After that cocoon stage, that butterfly turns it. I mean, I'm sorry, the caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Is it still the essence of the caterpillar? People could argue about that all day. But now, what is it though? A higher perspective. It now has gained its wings, right? So, with that being stated, if you understand what the scripture is talking about, it still works, right? So we could talk about again, Shai, and let me bring it back down. I'm so sorry because I might have went a whole different place. So if you're talking about,
I just lost understanding.
no, I'm sorry. So if we're talking about God having a physical face, right? If we're talking about God having a physical back, and all of these different things, a back can mean a pass, a back can mean all type of shit. A back can mean like it just depends on the level of understanding to where you're at. We say that certain computers have a interface, right? That doesn't mean that it has a face like on some human type of time, or you know what I mean? That like there's so many, like we have to break down, and I'm not saying through Hebrew text or literature or through different ways on how these words translate to, but if we're talking about a book that is supposed to take you from your human perspective to a spiritual perspective, then we understand that anytime that they're talking about something outside of the human form or the man form, is going to feed the spiritual side, right? So as soon as we accept that, it's just like, okay, well now, what's the symbology behind the words that are being used, right? Because we understand that this book is also written in parables, right? So that means a lot of these things, we're talking about a face, a lot of these things are not meant to be taken for face value, right? So with that being stated, there's a lot of sifting that we have to do in order to see what's being said, right? And I think that a lot of the times, again, if you're thinking from a human standpoint, then you're gonna get human answers, right? If you're thinking from an animal standpoint, you're gonna get animal answers. If you're tapped into the frequency of the spiritual being, you're going to get spiritual answers, right? So that's not to say that there's any right or wrong way to interpret scripture, right? But just like I said, if you understand that it's meant to take you from one place to the next, then you now have to be comfortable with leaving the human standpoint of the words that are being translated to get you to the spiritual place. You can't go to the spiritual place until you shed your human skin, till you shed your human state of mind. You can't. You're not going to receive it. It's going to sound like Chinese. It's going to sound foreign to you because it's just like, well, nigga, this shit says this and it says that, and this is why people leave the Bible alone, because if you read it, just like the two scriptures that we just now discussed, people say, well, those are two clashing things that contradict themselves. I'm gonna throw the whole book away. But guess what? In between those two things is a space, right? In between my two eyes, there's a third eye, right? That's going to be able to disseminate the information that's being talked about on a spiritual level that people are supposed to receive when they're supposed to receive it. Not when they want to receive it, leaning on your own understanding, but when you're supposed to receive it, when you're ready to put in that work. Just like we said earlier, the people who choose are the people that chose, so those are the chosen people.
So, but see, here's the thing though, when it comes down to this, right? And this is why I love this is the kind of stuff that tickle my fancy, like for real, because I love Bible study, right? Because you have to take things in context, right? So when we're talking about when Moses was to see the glory of God, right, which is even at the end of days, right, when it's all coming, that's what we're saying. You're going to see Jesus face to face, or you're going to come into the glory or the presence of God. So it is. There's a there's different ways to describe that and look at it. You can say face, right? But you got to understand what face means, right? Just like, again, what does many are called, right? Called means you were invited, right? So, or summoned, but you didn't pick up the phone, right? So we have to start breaking down the language or the words, and then also taking things into context. And so for me in my studies, when I looked at Jacob, the story of Jacob, okay, so when he sent his wives away, right, and he's wrestling with this man, right, and it said that this man touched his hip, right, and basically dislocated his hip, right, broke his hip down, right, and he's now, because so you got to take it, like, let's just say that he's the strongest person ever, right? So how could I not, defeat this person? I got to know, who in the hell are you? Because you touched me and all of a sudden my hip, falls out of place, right? And he demand to know who he was. And he said, well, why do you ask my name? Right. Because, he said, well, tell me your name. He said, well, and he told him, your name is no longer Jacob, right? And I'm going to tell you, this is your new name, because now you have wrestled with God and men and overcome, right? And so he went on to go meet Esau, right? And after a little while, right, and this is why I think this is important when we do Bible study, once he met Esau, he was going to be a servant, right? And when he was going to be a servant, he said, like, yo, seeing your face, right, is like seeing the face of God. So allow me to, be your servant. Like, does that make sense? So he got the message early on, right, with his struggle with this man before he went on assignment and was able to overcome.
Why is it important to wrestle with man and God?
Ooh.
That's not a question that we just sit up here and research, bro. We just got answers for it, bro. You just pulled that out of your hat. That's not even a question. That's not a building question.
That's a great question, because it's in the scripture. So this is the I didn't ask that for Benet. I didn't ask that for myself.
We wrestle with flesh. We wrestle with flesh and principalities. That's why it's important, because we wrestle with flesh.
Right. So with that being stated, now mind you, now remember, I gave you this because Benet she was finna get into the Esau story, right? And remember, I told you Esau only represents man, and Jacob represents spirit. I tried to get this to you. You probably wasn't ready to receive it, but the story goes into that. I don't have to know, because I don't even know that the story goes into that. But I don't have to know that the story goes into that, because I'm mathematically sound when it comes down to what needs to take place in order for this shit to work. Like, you know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying. So when it comes down to the level of being symbol literate, it just only makes sense for them to now then go on to give you the example of, that's why I asked the question, why is it important to wrestle with God and man, right? Again, the firstborn was who? Jacob or Esau?
They're twins.
Okay, but who came out first?
I forgot. I honestly forgot which one came out first, but that has a very big significance. I think Esau came out first.
I'm not for
I'm not
sure.
I'm I'm
I'd
not
have
a
to.
hundred percent sure.
Let me switch. Let me switch
I'd
the
have to.
question. Let me switch the question. So they said that Esau came out hairy and red, right?
Red and Harry. Yes.
I think that all babies come out red and hairy. So, and
Well, there has to be some type of significance, or they would have said both of them came out, as normal. But there had to be a significance. That's why they described him as
right,
being red and hairy, not
exactly.
because however he was, whatever he looked like when he was born, it couldn't have been normal.
And so and it says that one was to serve the other one, right?
Yeah.
So according to the scripture, which one is serving which?
Well, but Jacob is the Israelites and Esau's the white man. You tell me.
Perfect. That's perfect. That was a perfect answer. So at some point in time, the position is supposed to flip, right?
Yes, at the end of the world.
Okay. So with that being stated, so again, we are both spirit and we're both man and spirit, right? So with that being stated, the spirit is ultimately here to guide man, and man is here to serve the spirit. So the relationship between both man and spirit, they serve each other at the end of the day. But guess what? We're gonna have to go back to understanding that we're more spirit than we are man.
Right. Well, and then too, so just so if y'all want to do Bible study, right? So it
Hello.
bleeds back into Jacob, right? And here's the reason. When we talking about Jacob and Esau, right? He was afraid, right? So let's talk about fear. First of all, right? So he did all of this to send, send these gifts ahead, hopefully to appease him, right? And so, but he had to wrestle all night with God, right? Or with man, basically preparing you for what you thought you were going to have to fight, right? He thought that it was going to have to be this physical, altercation, right? But he fought and wrestled with God, even though God broke his hip, basically, or the tendon in his hip. And that's why, like today, that they, it's not good allegedly to eat the tendon of anything, right? It's supposed to be something like that. But when he understood that he wrestled with God, which was in a form of a man, it prepared the platform for when he met Esau. That okay, because in Esau, in chapter 33, where are we at? It said, he said, I have found favor in your eyes. Accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me favorably, right?
Who's
Well,
talking here? Who's that talking?
that is Jacob.
Israel
Man,
at this
he's
point.
Israel,
that's,
right?
Israel
Israel.
at this point.
that's Israel
Speaking
talking.
to
That's Israel
speaking to
talking
his brother
to
Esau.
Esau.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. And but what he so what he did though is he brought the when he saw his brother, when Esau saw him, he ran up and embraced him and kissed him, and everything was all good. And then he asked him, well, who are these people and what did you send before you, right? And he was like, yo, these are the children of God, that I've given to you as a servant, and he's like, bro, I got plenty. Like, I don't need this. You know what I'm saying? I have plenty. What are you keeping for yourself? Right. So even in that, he's showing mercy and grace where he thought that he was going to have to knuckle up and fight. Right. That it really ain't a problem. Right. And then now to bring it full circle, he's like, yo, man, for you to receive me and I have received favor from you is like seeing the face of God.
I want something.
So
I said you get me something, right?
even when you're talking about, and that's why I brought up who was serving who, and you just now said it, like, you know what I mean? Go ahead, I'm listening. It's to me,
yeah, so
it already makes sense. Like, and I haven't heard none of this shit, but it makes sense. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we have to, in the earlier chapter, it's given us the playground of, okay, we're gonna have to wrestle with ourselves and our fears, right? If God's given you assignment to do something, you're gonna go ahead and do it. But what we tend to do, we sit there in chevron in fear, right? And God knew that and said, okay, listen, I'm gonna send somebody since you feel like you're going to be defeated. You're going to wrestle with me, right? In your quote unquote preparation. But I'm also going to show you that I live inside of everyone,
Oh,
right? And so I'm able to rename you, right? And you can see, right, by the small miracle of me touching your hip and dislocating it. Not that I broke your leg, I touched your hip, right? Okay, so now you'll know God when you see him. So he prepared this platform, right, to say, listen, go before you, it's gonna be all good. You're not gonna have to quote unquote fight. And what did he do? When he got there, he still kind of felt like, hey, here are my wife and my kids to serve you. And his brother's like, serve me? Boy, I got enough, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And Esau or Israel at that point received the blessing, the same blessing that he asked the man for, let me go, not before you bless me. Well, received a blessing from his brother Esau later, right? And said it was like seeing the face of God now that you've received me favorably. So God is
I hate
really
to, I hate to, I hate to cut y'all short, but I haven't even tended to my family in a couple hours. I haven't ate dinner or none of that, so I'm gonna
oh yeah,
have to
no, yeah,
exclude myself from the conversation. But it was great building with y'all.
definitely.
definitely.
Again, I appreciate y'all having me on, and peace and blessings to the fam and all that stuff. But I got to tend to my family, bro. I'm hungry too.
Oh yeah, no,
I ain't gonna lie.
we appreciate you pulling up for sure. That exchange is always accepted for sure, for sure.
Oh, good. Y'all take it from there, man. Peace and blessings to the fam. Shalom.
All right.
Yeah, well, so you know how much I love Bible study, right? So I get into the gritty. So that was just really what was being said. It's like we gotta, when we quote scriptures, we're gonna have to sit and really understand, right? We're gonna have to even break down the actual words, right? Because a lot of times what's keeping people in bondage is an English version of biblical truth, right? You're not even looking at it from any other thing, but you could use English, right?
Right.
But
Say that.
you know what I'm
I,
saying? You could use English, but even your understanding of the English language has to be in depth, right? You got to know those thesaurus words, right? Of what face means or what called means, invited, pursuit or whatever, right? So
and
that's all.
that's what I'll be trying to express to people. There is, you know, the truth is pivotal, right? And I don't think a lot of people, and that's why I say and stand on the fact that there is no right or wrong, right? Because when you look at it, it's just like, okay, yeah, you're from what you're saying, from your perspective, that shit is your truth right now, right? But after you stay in that truth for so long, it's just like, okay, well, yeah, that truth was kind of lit. But if we're talking about life, I'm just not talking about people. If we're talking about everything being infinite and expanding and doing these type of different things, then sometimes you're not going to be stuck in a certain level of understanding, which is why certain people read the Bible again and again and again, and you get
Yeah.
different understanding and you grow and you learn. Like, you know what I mean? So with that being stated, it's just like, uh again, if we're talking about this book, because I know Shy asked me that, he asked you that, and I believe he asked ZTS that, or yeah, ZTS. Um, well, what did you get from reading the book, right? So
Yeah.
ultimately, if you're not looking at it from a perspective to uh, make the transition from your human self to your spiritual self, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, you know what I mean? So with that
Exactly.
being so with that being stated, the best way to read this book is to have a spiritual understanding of self and things that are around you. Therefore, you can also have a spiritual understanding of self and things that are around you. Like, you know what I mean? People think that this book was written from somebody who didn't put in no work, right? They just think that this book fell up on niggas' laps and niggas just wrote it and shit was just lit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, nigga, don't you know that these niggas have to go through shit in their life in order to write shit down, which is why you have profits, right? So with that being stated, it's just like you put in the work, then you get a profit. Like, you know what I mean? So people, and I'm not trying to down nobody because sometimes the work may be overbearing and shit. Sometimes, people get comfortable. Sometimes people just have their path of, just like I said, being comfortable until they be uncomfortable. And then they find a different level of comfortability that they want to accept. And that's absolutely fine. Like, you know what I mean? But it's just like everybody knows that you have to be uncomfortable in order for you to grow because growing, you're constantly moving. You're not relaxed. You're not comfortable. You're not sitting down. You're not chilling. You're growing, right? So on that on that type of time, it's just like, what are you helping your growth, right? Or are you still trying to fight it? Are you still trying to relax and shit? Like, you know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that again, people that are putting the work and they're seeing that the growth is inevitable. So it's just like, nigga, well, I might as well assist my growth, right? Some people stunt their growth or, try to do everything to just stay where it's at. And just like I said, if that's where you're at right now, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for the people who are in this, if they're wrestling with man and God, right? They're already in the fight. So it's just like, nigga, you might as well fight to win. Like, you know what I mean? So with that being stated, it's just like when you do say, hey, you want to know what, man? Let me go ahead and see what this shit is about. Let me put in this work, see what this shit is. You're gonna reap the benefits and you're gonna be put in a specific position for you to be able to, receive certain blessings. And it's not that your blessings are higher than anybody, but your blessings come to you how you position yourself to receive them. And that's
Yeah.
that. Like, you know what I mean? And for everybody who's existing and just trying to figure this shit out, just like I was saying earlier, like it's either you're going to automatically put in the work or something is going to come along and make you put in the work. Like, you know what I mean? So either way it go, the work has to be done. Why? The why is important because the why is things are expanding, right? All that old shit is out of here. Even though the shit comes back around and circles back around and does all the other shit, it's still evolving at some point, right? So when you accept that the shit is evolving, it's just like, do you want to stay stagnant or nigga, hold on, wait, I see this shit moving. It's just like double dutch, nigga. I gotta get in where I fit in, like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
again, it's just like, when we get down to the level of people that want to have a certain level of understanding but don't want to put in that work, it's cool. Just like, and this it's no disrespect because I said it while he was here, but it's just like this. If you say that this book is about race and you think that we're just talking about black people and shit like that, hey, that's where you at. Like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's just like, um, if this book was only meant for a certain demographic of people, then it would only be for them to be able to read and understand and comprehend. And I just don't think that black people read and understand and comprehend, that book. And we have to be honest enough to say that. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just
You
like
got for that comment.
we make these stories up in our mind and it looks good. It probably, just like I said earlier, it probably makes you feel good to say, yeah, we got this and this is ours and can't nobody touch this. Like, y'all could jealous, y'all could kill us, y'all could brutalize us, y'all could murder us, y'all could do all this, but this book is for me. And people hold on to that shit just like that. But it's just like, nigga, if you're accepting this book as you, then why don't you accept all these other things that you're going through as you as well?
Or
Ain't that some shit?
it is some shit, right? And I was gonna say, instead of, because I believe about growth, right? And I used to say growth, right? You can't add any cubics to your measure, basically, right? So you are what you are, but you could always be in motion, right? And so to stunt your growth to me is like you're stopping motion. You're trying to really stay in a certain time period or lock yourself into space, right? And to do that to me is death, right? Because everything is in motion, right? And I think me and you talked about breathing, right? Just a simple thing of breathing and that exchange. And I know we talked about that earlier in the build about being a slave to the soil, right? But it's not so much a slave, right? We're in partnership with all of this. In order for me to live the way that God has set this up, I have to breathe in what the elements give off, right? The oxygen, the trees give off the elements. And in exchange, fair exchange, no robbery, I'm going to give you what you need to breathe, right? You know what I'm saying? The essence of my being, which is, that carbon, right? So the minute that we just stop tripping, dude, things will be change, right? We won't have a need for the greed, right? We won't have a need for a lot of things once we just come into truly the knowledge of self. And that's what this is all about. This whole thing is what coming into the knowledge of self. And if you choose to stay and identify that the knowledge of yourself is on a skin is only skin deep, so be it, right?
The
But
limit.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, just once you come into the fullness, right? That's why they say the full knowledge. That is a part of your being, right? This is the Mercedes that you chose to rock in. You know what I'm saying? That's cool, right? But that is not the fullness of who you are. And until you get to that fullness, you don't know that you got keys to every single car out there. There ain't no car, truck, vehicle that you can't, hop in and out of, including spaceships. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, the limit that people put on God is bananas. And
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that. But he just now told me that God is a man, a black man, that has a face, has a back, and all this other shit. Not that God is formless and is everywhere and doing all this other shit. God is only black. God is
Right.
only, like, you know what I mean? Only, not this niggas can change different races and shit like that. God is only black.
Yeah.
Only black. So
Right. And then again,
the level,
we got to start looking down at what that word back means, right? If it, first of all, second of all, we have to look at, okay, if I know, being the all knowing, that you can't accept my glory, the eyes that I've created for you cannot fully accept and appreciate and handle the image in what you are seeing, I can put myself in a form that will allow you to see something, right?
that part. And I don't think that people understand that, and that's why you have to have that's why they say that the Bible is inspired, written and inspired by God, because the geniuses who wrote it have to understand that they have to speak to different demographics of people in order to give them what they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely fine, even though it may seem like if they receive it in a certain type of way, then that's where they're going to be stuck at. But the author can't be held accountable for where you choose to stay at if you read it from this perspective and shit, right? Because I'm so genius that I wrote it for you, the nigga who thinks outside of race, for the nigga who thinks outside of this, for the nigga who thinks outside of that. So again, you're putting a limit. If you're saying that this is God's written word, or God in the in the word, in the flesh, and you know what I mean, God became, you know what I mean, all the shit. So it's just like if you put a limit to what this is, then you don't even have a true understanding of what you say that God is, ultimately. So it's just like when I just now did a children's book, right? The first one, my characters are black. You fucking right. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there's nothing wrong with that, right? The second one that I just now did and turned in and shit, right? I chose to use an animal, a panda.
Right.
The panda, you can't tell what sex this motherfucker is if you looked at it. Now, Asian can say, nigga, this is a panda, so this is our shit. But what language is this shit written in? So you can't claim it like that.
Right.
The Japanese people, whoever, the Asians, whoever claim pandas and shit, right? Then you can't tell the sex. So can't nobody claim the sex on this motherfucker, right? So the name of the book is called Super Different Me, right? So with that being stated, it's just like, who am I talking to? You could say, well, I'm super, so we the chosen people, my niggas are super and all this extra shit. But guess what? I have children writing their own book.
That's dope. That is so dope. Congratulations.
Listen, so at the end of the day, they're saying that they're super different and it's going to be their book, right? I equate that to the genius of the Bible because people can say, well, this Bible, just like Shai-T was saying earlier, this is our book, right? But what level of you are you talking about? Just like y'all was having that discussion. You talking about the black level of you? Are we talking about the slave level of you? Or are we talking about the essence of you? Who you are, for real? Because my children's book is talking about the essence. Super different me. That's the essence.
Right.
So with that being stated, people, and there's nothing wrong with, with being human. Like, you know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that because we're human for a reason. But as soon as that black shit is out of your system, and as soon as you accept that I'm probably a little bit more than black, and not that this is for Shai-T only, that God may be just outside of just the box of being black, then we could probably get a level of understanding that's phenomenal. Then you could get down to the essence of what this shit is for real.
Exactly. Understand what being you are, right? If we're his image, and that's why I try and get people out of that. Like I can talk to you from the 12 tribes, right? And genealogy, fine. Image. When you write that out and you spell it, it's I am Gene, right? The image, right? So that is your original genealogy. Okay. So then what is God, right? If he can be everywhere at the same time, in all the elements and everything, then what does that say about you? What does that really say about your I am genes, right? Your I am genes are the trees, the rocks, the everything. You are a part of you is there, right? And you have dominion of that because you have a greater purpose in that regard. But we got to get away from our skin, right? The race that we need to be worrying about is the spiritual race that has no color, that has nothing other than, if you want to say color, I'm gonna say it's white. Then be mad at me and say it's white light, right? Or as I've come to understand, it is limitless and maybe even void of light. When you put the black and white together, it's something that you can't see with these particular eyes. It's more of the energy than anything. So, but
See, and when we talk about the word race, it's just like, what's the competition, right? Because the race is a competition, right? So
Right.
when we talk about race, as opposed to, uh, because we is in Nipsey
Race
Hussle
versus
transition month,
origin.
huh?
Race versus origin.
No. I was just gonna say we're in Nipsey Hussle transition month, so it's just like
Oh yeah.
the marathon, right? Like I'm running my marathon. I don't care about anybody else that got their shit popping. I'm on my shit, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm coming to my victory lap, and I gotta shout out Nip, man. Nip was just so lit. And I'm glad that he got an opportunity to see his victory lap come into fruition before he made his transition. But anyway, so so a lot of the times, we think that the race is we have to be better than the next, right? Uh and we think that culture is something that can't be switched around or changed and shit like that. But it's just like ultimately when we just talk about being, we're human beings, so we're just being.
Right, but see, and that's why I say, but I can say race because I understand where that word came from.
Oh
Race,
yeah, definitely.
S with asterisk Ross, right, or however you want to say it. But it's in English we say race, but that means current, right? So again,
Right there.
my people perish for a lack of knowledge, right?
Right.
Language is everything. So when before you start claiming a race, right? You know what I'm saying? It's you got to start peeling back your words, right? Like, and I taught about this in my podcast, right? You're gonna have to learn how to watch your mouth, right? Understand the words that you are saying that are coming out of your mouth because it's ultimately your responsibility. But that's listen. I don't know about you, Woon, but I'm very careful in how and what I say.
And you just now put me up on something. You said Ross.
Yeah, it's RAS with like the S has like little
Yeah.
uh thing
And you
on it.
said that means current, right?
Yes.
The same thing as being. Currently, I am being, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same shit. Like, you know what I mean? So the now time, right? The now, the essence of the now, the current, the currency, the money, the everything that we are is
The
just like,
conduit is it's a conduit, right?
right.
That's it's a waterway, it's a channel, right? So this is why I'm saying when we got to start breaking it down. Bible study 101 is take the chapter, right, or whatever verse of the words and really start breaking it down. That's why I can read the Bible just as you read it one time from cover to cover. It's talking about, or whatever, book you subscribe to, you should always get fresh revelation from it because you are seeing it from different perspectives as you open your eyes, right? And when I wear contacts, right, without my contacts I can't see a motherfucking thing. Right? But when I put my contacts in, okay, cool. Dang, you mean to tell me, oh, I thought
Whole
I
new
felt
world.
good, right? And it that shit is dirty as hell, right?
Right.
Because your perspective changes based on what you can quote unquote see and understand, right? The limit to your vision. So if you're limited in that, but once you come into an awareness or a clearer perspective, now you can see, right? Now you come into fullness. Now you come into aha. Now you come into I am, right? Until then, listen, hey, you think you wiped that counter good, that's fine. But everybody else around you or people that have clearer vision be like, hey man, you left a couple crumbs on the table. You know what I'm saying?
Turn on
So
that what's that? What's that light? The black light. Turn on that black light, nigga. We're gonna see how clear that shit is for real.
right. We don't exactly. We're gonna see all the skeletons and bones in your closets, and so will you, right? We will see the truth. You will say that this is clean, but oh nigga, this is blood spatter, this is semen, this is bacteria, this is all of this stuff that you said that don't exist, is not even here. We don't have the capability, you know what I'm saying, to see it, but they're, having that black light and the solution, right? That is the conduit, if you will, so that you can see. And some people are blind as fuck.
And see, and that's the thing. It's just like, when it comes down to the level of meeting people where they're at, right? Because I think that a lot of times, just like I was saying earlier, like, I can't force nothing upon you. I don't want to force nothing upon you, right? Because it's just like at the end of the day, if I'm trying to force you to drink from this shit, then it's just like, nigga, I'm gonna damn near drown you in this shit, right? Because you don't want to take this shit in. So it's just like, nigga, I don't even know how to receive it. So it's just like, with that being stated, the level of freedom that you have to give people is one of the things that we don't do when we talk about race. And I want to make this real clear, because as race, we feel like, just like I said, it's a competition. We feel like we should be at this place. We feel like we should be doing this. We feel like other people are winning and we're losing, and we're in a disposition when it comes down to places of position in the race, right? So at the end of the day, it's just like, nah, bro, like, this motherfucker is, had to get up and do something earlier. So, his legs might not be working like yours is working. Like, you know what I mean? Or this motherfucker, you know what I mean, stretched and did all this shit. So he kicking dust. Like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's just like, when you allow people to be who they are and come into what they want to come into, then it's lit. And this is why we say dropping jewels. We don't say I could say I could hand these motherfuckers, and, well, you're going to hand it to them, what they going to do? But if you drop them, and if it's in their path, and if they're interested, more than likely, they're going to see it and they're going to pick it up. They're going to observe it. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And it may give them inspiration. Then they're probably going to drop it back down. And the person that's walking behind them on that same path may come across it. And it's the same thing. So we don't pass jewels. We drop them, right? And a lot of the times, the Bible is in that same fashion. There's jewels that's being dropped, but sometimes people, they're looking for something so much that, it's right in front of your face and you can't even recognize it when you see it. Like, you know what I mean? Because you're so determined to see it when it's right there. You already got it, but you think that you got to get it from somewhere else. And then when you get it from that somewhere else, you can't even appreciate what it is for real. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, sometimes we just have to let go of things and be open. Just like, Jesus, whenever miracles, be open, period. Like, you know what I mean? And people don't allow themselves to do that because there's so much unlearning that we have to do when it comes down to certain shit. And it's just like, the reason that you're holding on to that is for what? For ego? To feed the ego?
Right.
And the more that you feed the ego, then what? Then the ego is living. You ain't even living, my guy. So at the end of the day, it's just like, when you stop feeding your ego, and just like I tell people, when stuff stops making sense, it should start making sense. So when you stop feeding your ego, the feast still has to continue, right? What other places is it going to go to? It's going to go to your spiritual side. And if you're not ready for it, keep feeding the ego until the ego gets full, and then the ego is no longer hungry. And then what else you got to do? Now you have to switch bags. Simple.
Yeah. No, and I love that, like I say on words with the drop, right? When you say we're dropping jewels, right? People got to understand that jewels are value, right? And what that really means, right? And most people, it's like an oxymoron. Well, why would you drop jewels, right? Why would you drop things of value? Most people, when they have jewels or secrets, right? Think about business. Some people be having the keys to stuff but don't want to share it, right? Because they're afraid that, somebody may get to the top faster than them. So they're going to keep those jewels for themselves. But when you really start dropping those jewels, to drop is to unhand, right? Is to relinquish. It is to let go of the grip, release, right? Lay it down, right? For somebody to pick it up, right? You can't keep this knowledge to yourself. You have to unhand it, right? And allow somebody else to pick it up, right? You won't have to do that. And a lot of people that really get into this kind of stuff. And when I think about alchemists, right? And I fucks with it.
Right.
And even as an alchemist is just in it, right? And if you come into it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what up? You know what I'm saying? Let's get to work. There's no real discussion. We just working together. The energy is there, right? But then once you leave, you're going to have to leave some breadcrumbs for others to discover, right? You're going to have to unhand, or you're going to have to strategically place these jewels where somebody like-minded will be able to pick them up, So until then, happy hunting.
Yeah. And see, even when we're talking about jewels, right? If we go to diamonds, right? To say that, we're dropping jewels, it's just like you were saying, like, these are not our jewels to hold and to keep and shit, right? Just like the light isn't ours, it just passes through us, right? So with that being stated, if we're talking about that same type of time when we're talking about jewels, the light that shines through diamonds, right? It's not that the diamond
Though that's what I was doing.
it's not that the diamond has to shine. Yeah, exactly. So it's just coming through. It's just coming through. And again, we have to be open enough to where all of the light is coming through and giving off multiple aspects of the same light. And a lot of times people don't understand that, like, just like you said, they want to hold on to the jewels, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, they're supposed to be dropped. Just like you want to hold on to the light. No, the light is not for you to hold on to, it's for it to pass through you so it can hit somebody else. Like, you know what I mean? So, again, like, the ego, and there's nothing wrong with having an ego, but the ego is only here to serve the purpose of the spirit, so that, and when you get full enough, okay, it's just like, okay, so now what do you want to do? Do you keep eating yourself to death? Right? So
Yeah.
when you're full, like, what do? You got to take a shit, right? Or you got to release, just like you were saying earlier, you have to release this, right? So it's already being leased in your body, like, you know what I mean? So your body can only hold so much. So if we're talking about a lease, I'm gonna lease this to somebody else, like, you know what I mean? If somebody else needs to lease this, like, because it's not ours to own. We're leasing it.
Right. Right. Yo, so
hey, it's up.
no, so hold on, just real quick. When you just said that, right, and I looked up the synonym for jewel, right, for you said, diamonds, right, and we talked about it being a conduit, but a synonym for jewel is bijou, right, and bijou is a word that means cinema.
Cinema, that's lit.
Whoa, right? So again, and when we're talking about things passing through, being able to see, right? And when people are picking things up, or they're watching you, or they come into the knowledge of your cinema show, you know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, I'm in room 13, right? You know what I'm saying? So you can catch this show, right? But you're able to see the cinema, the play, the script play out in front of you. You know what I mean? It's the big screen. So it just, huh?
Creative participant and observer type shit, right?
Exactly. So yeah, so this was dope, Woon. You know what I'm saying? This was good. So thank you for allowing me into the room. You know what I mean? So
Oh
I
no,
appreciate
you know it's love. Thank you for pulling up for sure. And shout out to everybody that was in the chat. The chat was kind of lit, and I was so engaged in, having this exchange. But I seen God is Divine in there. I seen the homie Antoine in there. Shout out to ZTS for actually pulling up and coming onto the panel for sure. Hey, he came on with a a whole different type of energy. And I hate to say it, but I prejudged him by how he was talking in the chat, but he actually came and his vibe was lit. So I was just like, okay, I said, I see what the vibes is. You know what I mean? Shout out to Tyrone that was in the building. And just shout out to everybody, man. Like, you know, the more that y'all tapping in with these conversations, it's kind of lit. And I have to give it again to ZTS because we had like 80 people live with us at one point in time in his chat. Then it was at 75, then it was at 65, then it was at 50, then went back up to 80. So if you're, you know, still tapped in, or if you're gonna tap in later, like, you know, we do this on a regular type of time. And we're not closed-minded to, you know, any religious beliefs that's out there. We're actually representing this I am, which my homie Shy T was trying to get an understanding of earlier. So we're all inclusive as we try to give definition to this collective consciousness that we're all living out in a quote unquote physical reality, right? So we're all service to the same thing. We're all connected. And I want everybody to understand that for real. And as soon as we understand that the differences are only here to show us how there are no differences, and then we're going to understand and live in peace and harmony. But everybody's not going to come to that level of understanding at one time because this thing is expanding, right?
Yeah.
So there's certain people that's in the front of the line, and there's certain people that's in the back of the line, and then those people are all, the first will be last, and the last will be first, right?
Yep. So no, you right on it. So and that's why I said this was a really good one. And I love to see more participation. You know, you guys been putting in that work for now a year, you know what I mean, and a few months, you know what I mean, and that's work and dedication. But these are the gems that people need to free your mind, and you provide a platform for people to do that. So I just think it's dope. So, you know, I encourage anybody that's listening, you know, join the conversation. You know, we can always drop the link for you to join if you ever want to, right? You don't have to show your face, but your voice will be appreciated too. New faces, new energy to the chats, or to the actual conversation will be welcome as, you know, as well. So
Definitely. And we got a doctor in the building. Is there a doctor in the building right now? Is there a doctor in the building?
yes, I am. I am Dr. Bené Love Bailey, divinity doctor and doctor of metaphysics. And so I'm studying to get my PhD from the University of Sedona. So I can't wait to drop that PhD on the back, though. You know what I mean? So.
Hell yeah. But
So
yeah, but for the people, just like I said, you know, we had different people tapped in today. So go ahead and drop your links, because you do also have a couple of different I guess podcast shows that, you know, that people may want to tap into as well.
yeah, so hold on, let me see if I could type it. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I'm still there. So I have a podcast that I do on Wednesdays. It is Wisdom Wednesdays with the Energy of God coach. So I am the energy of God, right? I help you get to the inner part of God. So the inner God coach. So that's Wednesdays at 7. Again, energy. The God inner, or the inner God coach. I always flip that because I'm working on some clothing. So you know what I mean. But oh yeah. So I'm working on some gear. That's helping you tap into your God energy. But it is the inner God coach, where I teach you to access that inner God part of yourself, right? That inner being that I was talking about, so that if you want to get away from race, right, and really be free, tap into the inner God coach. That's Wednesdays at 7. And then I have the Real Love podcast. And you can find that page too on Facebook and Instagram, the Real Love Podcast. And what we do is we talk about relationships, love and dating, all of those kind of things. So, you know, come check me out, and I would definitely add it in the chat.
Definitely. And with that being stated, like, you know, shout out to my co-host Selfmade. And for the people who are tapping in, he's usually more prominent in these type of conversations. So you guys probably seen him long. He had the long dress in there. I am self-made. Definitely is in his bag when it comes to these type of conversations. He did have some other things that was going on today. So, again, if you guys tap in on the regular, he will, you will get an opportunity to, see what his energy is like. And he's super lit. Like, you know what I mean? It's lit for real.
Yes, shout out to Josh. What up? Well, I am done. So what you got popping, Woon? I mean, I'm. This
Oh,
was
man.
great.
Yeah, nah, this was actually a good build. I'm gonna tap in with ZTS, and we're gonna have a whole different show. We're gonna build. I know that there was a lot of things that he wanted to say, and one thing that I did tell Shy T is that that I was going to give him free reign to ask certain different information, certain different questions to get a level of information or understanding. But outside of this, like, you know what I mean? Just like I was saying earlier, I got my second children's book that should be here by the end of this month. So please look forward to that. It's called Super Different Me. For the people who don't know, I already have a children's book out right now called Go Out and Play, which is on Amazon, which is on Walmart, which is on Barnes and Nobles, which is on Books a Million, which is damn near everywhere that you could find books at. It's there. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm doing my second book. And it's lit like that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm in creator mode right now.
I'm just so proud. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like most people wait like, 2 years after the first one and things like that. You just said, listen, while it's up, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just go ahead and drop them.
What's that saying? Strike when the iron is hot? Is that's
All right. No,
that's lit like that.
yeah, so yeah, congrats, and I can't wait for it to come out. So thanks for the love and the support, and I will holler at you.
All right. Definitely appreciate you, lady.
All right, good night.
Yes. So man, pretty dope show. Shout out to the chat, man. Y'all be super duper lit. And bringing different understanding and perspectives, especially when we have shows like this, to where we're able to build and not really just talk to disagree or debate. Like sometimes debates are healthy, but again, at the same time, sometimes it's okay to come into these conversations and the spirit of love and understanding, because that's why we do this ultimately and shit, right? So with that being said, shout out to the chat. They always come through and drop some dope perspectives. Shout out to ZTS for pulling up for the first time. Just like I said, we're definitely going to build in the future for sure. Shout out to Shy T for coming to pull up and to get a level of understanding. And shout out to Benet. Shout out to my co-host again, Selfmade, like, you know what I mean? And it's lit like that. And I'm not used to closing by myself, so I'm gonna just say peace and love to everybody. War, if you need it, in order to understand what peace is, and it's lit just like that. You out.
Called Grown and Alone and shit, right?